Oh, fire. Okay, we ready? Beth?
Yeah, and then, Stormy Dallas and then on Virginia to celebrate the birth.
All right, we're back on. Are we on? Huh? Just close it? Where? Oh, do what? That thing? That? All right. Okay. Are we on? Okay, so we're back out of break. It's 3:37, and we're going to move on to goals workshop. We're going to go into the departments, and we're going to kick off hearing from fire department. So again, council, this is everyone's wish list coming to you, and then we whittle it down as we know our budget. So I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed fire chief, Chris Shanklin, and we'll trade seats, and Chris can come over and go over his items. You have them in front of you?
You want to let you know from here or just tell you know you go along?
You tell me no, yes. I mean, what would you like me to go over questions? I mean, have y'all seen
no,
what
Yeah,
I
just start
presented
with your request.
for everything? The building, the truck, just the trucks or?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, well, we have 9 trucks, fire department total, right? We have a chief's vehicle, my chief's vehicle. It's got about 8 years left. We have an assistant chief's vehicle, which is a 2010, which was originally a 10-year truck. It got put off by 1 year last year just to kind of help with, we had more other pertinent things. And it is now, I just spent on this request, we actually just spent about $1,100 replacing the front springs because they rusted in half and it fell on the ground. And now we have just learned that the frame is cracked. So I'm pretty much going to say that the truck is done. I was trying to get it to last 4 or 5 more months.
We're gonna bring that to you guys though.
On Thursday.
We're gonna bring that to you Thursday. So that's, we're gonna.
I
we're gonna
was,
scratch that off the budget.
I have requested that we buy it if we can. I know this is your decision. Roughly, we're looking at around $13,000 to outfit it and around $36,000 for the truck. So it's going to be around $49,000 roughly. I mean, I don't have exact numbers yet. I've got a couple of quotes. I know I need to get 3. I'm still working on that because this all just came up.
If there's a truck available on my board, if that truck is on my board, we put this on your agenda. When you get your packet, it will have no backup because it just happened today.
This is something that just came up in the last week, and Darla and I have been trying to discuss. Okay, so the 2 Chiefs vehicle, then we have 2 engines and a tower ladder. The new engine we just purchased, it is paid for free and clear, correct, Darla? Pumper, we owe nothing on it. We have a new tower ladder that is on order. Will be here in a couple of months. I know that's coming up of how we're going to pay for that. It's around 125. It's already been approved. It's just got to get where we have payments. I know in the past, we've always had 2 payments over the years. The fire department does 1 pumper or 1 tower ladder. And until Harvey, I had always tried to stage it out over 10 years to where there were no more than 2 payments for the city of Port Aransas. But now on our engine and pumper, tower ladder, the first engine is paid for. I am requesting another engine because to replace the engine that was a donation from the fire forestry service 2.5 years ago, it was put in as about a 3 to 5 year truck. It's about 20 years old and it will actually get donated back to the forestry service that was part of it if this new one is approved. A new one's around $685, which
That's one from Virginia.
yes, the Philmont truck
Yeah,
from
Philmont.
Virginia.
Is it in good condition? It will make another year?
It'll make another year. It won't make 4 or 5 more years. It'll make another year. I mean, I've had to do some work to it, but it's okay. I mean,
I'm just
it,
curious, just kind of looking, I'm not speaking for council myself, but I'm feeling a little austere in how we're going to spend money this year. So
sure. No,
I
that's,
just want to see what we can make go.
that's totally okay. No, that's fine. So the engine, the tower ladder. So these trucks, typically we do, our last fire trucks were 25-year trucks. Typically we do around 25 year. The engine that we just purchased is 25-year truck. The tower ladder will be about probably a 20-year truck. The tower ladder's not quite as long. If this new engine is approved, it will be about a 25-year truck. So for sure, we have two that we won't have to purchase for hopefully 25 more years. If this third one's purchased, that will be whoever else 20, 30 years from now or whatever decides to do, these trucks will last and be the city for 25 years. I'm also requesting the last final brush truck. We've always had three. We've always, there's two for running, always a backup. I like backups, one engine, one backup. You can't, if you have a fire or something or a brush fire, you can't say, well, hold on, one's in the shop. There's backup. I have duplicates of
What year is
everything.
that one, Chris?
Which one?
The one you want to replace?
1984. The big military truck that kind of sits in the corner right now that we don't
Oh,
use
that's it?
unless we absolutely have to. It was a replacement for the Forestry Service gave us a big donation, and they classified our brush trucks as like a large, so to say, brush truck or a small one, and a large one is considered a 400-gallon truck or more, almost like a small pumper. All of our brush trucks have always been around 250 to 300 gallons or smaller ones, except for the big one. We replaced this one about 6 or 7 years ago. But when we got this money, it was to replace the big one. And it's actually better for the city now and better for the fire department to have this 400 gallons instead of 250. You have more. So the last one will replace this last military truck that will go away. Then that'll be 3 brush trucks. Typically, these brush trucks are about 15-year trucks, roughly. One of the last ones I had when we were going around, I ended up adding a few years to it because it was fine until the hurricane happened.
And
And that
Chris, we have
changed everything.
two new ones?
We have 2 new brush
Right,
trucks.
2 new brush.
We
trucks.
purchased one right after the hurricane,
Yeah,
and then we purchased one. We've had it about 6 months. And then this will be the third one if it's, I'm requesting. And then that'll be the brush trucks for about 15 years. So 6 of our 9 trucks, 15 years, 3 will be fine, and 25 years for the other 3. The last truck we have is a rescue. And that one was purchased from Yorktown. That's a 1999 truck. And that truck's okay. I just spent some money and redid some of the lights and updated it some. And that truck's in good shape. I've got that truck roughly on about another 5 years, to kind of get these trucks. These are more important. So again, the 3 brush trucks will be for 15 years. The 3 pumpers will be for 25. If I can get Adam's truck, the assistant chiefs, my truck's got another 8 years. Adam's will be 10. And then the
So that
rescue truck,
You're planning on getting 25 out of it.
rescue, we're gonna try to get 25 out of it. I mean, it's okay. That's the one we purchased from Yorktown right
Right,
after, and I
right.
redid it.
Yeah.
We've got, Darla, I don't know, we've got about 35,000 in it, maybe. It was a pretty, we got a really good deal on it. Plus I spent, $5,000 or $6,000 redoing some of the lights and had to put new tires on it and things like
Yeah,
that.
you didn't put 35 into it.
No, total,
Yeah,
with the
total.
purchase and everything. I don't remember what we purchased it for. Maybe we don't even have that much in it. So that's kind of my request is 1 new brush truck, 1 new pumper, and then hopefully Darla will, or hopefully we can get this Adams Assistant Chief's vehicle this budget, if possible, because this other one's just kind of sitting there.
Darla, those pumpers, or do we do a lease with those?
The one that we'd be purchasing probably.
What do you mean a lease?
The payment.
Oh, the payment. Yeah, don't we normally, in the past, it's always been a 10-year payment, the way I budget. Yeah. So it'll be the only request
Yeah, what do they run?
685.
roughly is 680. It's kind of what I've been looking at. It's going to be what this pumper is. I've been running around the state actually looking at several different pumpers. So our new pumper that we have now is a big pumper. It's a big one. It's got 1,000 gallons of water. It's 1,500 GPM. It's got rescue tools, a big pumper.
And
The
then
new pump-
What's our payment? Around 60K?
Normally the truck, like the tower ladder was around 120 and the other one was around like 65,000, 116.
And then the brush, is that something that we finance or no?
The brush is how much? 190? No. I know.
190.
What was the answer?
Probably not.
Buy outright.
Depends on what we can make work. The ambulance, you know, we gotta get an ambulance too, so we have to together. Maybe finance.
What else did I have on here? Those are my vehicles. Any questions on my 9 vehicles, 3 pumpers? So that'll put us, that'll put us a roughly 10-year, in about 5-6 years, 1 rescue. However, we want to do with that in 5 or 6 years. And then in about 10 years, it'll put us for 2, our captain's vehicle or assistant and chiefs, 15 years for brush trucks, 25 years for pumpers, roughly.
Do we have
Kind of stuff.
garage space for all these vehicles?
Everything except for the tower ladder, which we're working on. The tents, I hope that's Dave. Well, the tents are working great, but they're very hot. They're extremely hot. They're running 100 and one day it was 125 degrees in there. I had an air pack blow off again because of the heat. So I don't know. I've been looking at fans, even talked to Darla. I said, even putting some kind of unit in there just to help anything. I mean, just, well, I don't want something that's gonna cost $1,000 a month for electricity, but something to flow air. I haven't gotten that far yet.
You know, those big,
I don't wanna-
big round fans that like sit on wheels, and just like, has like a.
Yeah,
regular
those-
power
they
motor
sell
you
those
plug
at,
into
like,
a-
At McCoy's.
Yeah.
Sell them at-
They'll be fine.
They
Soon as
sell-
summer's over.
Yeah, we'll be okay. And hopefully we're getting somewhere on the extension for the tower ladder. I'm having a little, everybody that knows me, I work a lot faster and more hyper than a lot of people do. So I want to go right now. And I'm not going right now with Broadus. But anyways, we'll get there.
No, I just want, I hate to buy something new and then have it sit outside.
No, we, when this tower ladder, no, everything except for the tower ladder. This is a current problem that's about to happen here. When this tower ladder was ordered 1.5 years ago, I told them, I said, I need a space for this. These tents are 45 feet deep. The new tower ladder that's here in 2 months is 50 feet deep, and we are working on some small extension just for that. Everything else will sit inside. Yeah, everything else will be fine.
Lovely.
How is your volunteers? Are you still have a good
We got
volunteer
about
strong?
22 on the book still, and about 16 active. I mean, you know how you've got some, about 16 that are active.
So
Yeah.
that,
And that number fluctuates a
is
lot.
it like enough?
Good.
Yeah,
It's always
it-
been amazing.
For 20 years, we've been anywhere from 18 to like 29. It's
Okay.
always, yeah.
One of this, because I know a couple years ago, I was running signs saying, please volunteer at the fire department. kind of
Yes.
thing. I didn't know if that was still an issue. or not.
We're always looking for volunteers, but we're sufficient.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no. I mean, you always would, I mean, we can get back up to 29 or 30. That would be nice. Okay, what's the second? The budget. Nothing, not too much changed on my budget except for the capital outlay. Do y'all have copies of that?
No.
No, they don't. One was the thing, the only additional, I've got the assistant chief's vehicle for 48. I was gonna try to purchase, about 4 years ago, we spent about 140 on all new air packs for the entire department, complete new air packs. And at the time where we have, and now in the past, when these new trucks are coming in, we've actually added a few more seats. So I'm putting in here 5 extra air packs and 10 bottles I'd like to purchase, which is about 45,000 to fill these seats. Now that on these bigger trucks, we have more space to store them, which is good.
Have we
You know.
approached like Chenier and the big companies about maybe getting more donations from them?
The last time I approached Will at Chenier, which was after the hurricane, I never heard from him. And I tried 3 or 4 times.
Sure.
Never, ever heard anything, ever. So in the last 1.5 years or 2, no, I haven't. But
I
after
guess
the,
once they got what they wanted, they checked out.
well, I mean, this was a year or 2 ago after the a year or 2 ago, which would have been about a year after the hurricane. But after that, no. I did get I got donated about 100 and, I don't know how much I got donated, about 150, 200,000 after the hurricane, but all that's been spent on the brush truck. Like this big brush truck we just purchased that we spent 185 on last year, I got donated 67, and then the Sandfest gave us 30, then we got another 30. So I think it ended up costing us,
Yeah.
what, about $35,000 or something for
It
that
might not be a
brush.
bad idea to approach Exxon and Sabec and see if they wanna.
I don't know.
We were approached from the Houston Astros and then it just
Kind of went away.
it went away after they got in all their trouble for cheating.
Whatever.
Shoot.
You know, we might give Exxon Sabec a call and see if they wanna put some money.
I don't know. I don't have any contacts. That would be maybe.
I don't
Give
know
me
anybody,
that.
but I know that they're in the news all the time, so someone's gotta be at PR and
Yeah.
say, hey, you wanna get some good PR, send us a check.
Yeah.
We're always looking.
We're always looking. I'll take money.
Turn it down.
Absolutely.
And then I think, on my budget items, nothing really changed from each. The equipment or the truck budget went down about 16,000 just because I was planning on trying to do a little work. I know in South Texas, I was going to try to put an air conditioning system in that older truck, but after the years went on and it just didn't get done and everybody's really busy after the hurricane, we just decided to sweat it out. But we'll be okay. And so save that money.
Any questions for fire?
My questions, I don't think,
I
nothing.
saw y'all at Merlin Academy, all this.
Oh, this
little
morning?
kids.
Yeah.
That's great.
I went out there and let them all climb on the fire trucks and turn the water on. They were loving it. They were running, yeah. Yeah, they loved it.
Like yesterday, Mac would, y'all did that when Montessori, in the Presbyterian had Montessori school and Mac.
I put them on the front and I had it real low and I was squirting and the kids like, give me the squirt. And they're like trying to squirt the instructor. I said, "No, like that."
Well, I was glad to see that.
Yeah.
but I'm so appreciative to the staff to pull off Merlin Academy this year.
Yeah.
to Keep things going, having the fire, truck there for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Questions, comments,
Thank you,
concerns?
Chris.
Yeah, things are.
Thank you. I guess
Appreciate it.
you'll let me know Thursday if it passes for trucks. I'm waiting on a couple more quotes. I'm trying to get that in a very, very
All right.
quick
Thanks, man.
manner. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Keith. Oh, yeah. Thank you, sir.
I pass these around.
I looked at my email.
Would you like to tell you no now? Keith, you wanna go down each item and let's tell you no?
Do what?
You want me to tell you no now or just go down each item and tell you no?
I go down anytime and tell me no.
You got it. See y'all later. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Sorry, but I've seen how Chris lives his lifestyle, so. Tell me when you're ready to start.
We're ready.
My name's Scott Burrows. I'm Chief of Police for the City of Port Aransas. I appreciate y'all taking time from your schedules to hear us out. Before I get started, we've got a number of items on our budget request this year. I'm going to tell you that we're not in any type of public safety crisis. If none of these get funded, it's not going to put us into crisis mode. But by the same token, we can't keep kicking these cans down the road because a lot of these projects are starting to compound and expenses are going up. Over the last several years, the police department, we've been good soldiers. We've worked closely with the council, with the city staff on mitigating budget issues. And we're starting to slip in our needs. Right before the Hurricane Harvey and going into FY18, just as a reminder, the council funded a patrol sergeant, an extra dispatcher, and a detective position for us. When in the aftermath of Harvey, when budgets were tight, we did not fill those positions in 2018. in 2019, with budget still tight. They were pulled out of the budget completely. We did get a dispatcher approved last year, but not funded. We were going to fund it with salary savings. But in light of the current COVID situation, that position's also been frozen. In addition, I currently have 2 vacancies, and I've been working with, they were initially frozen in with the projected shortfall of taxes this spring. City managers agreed to allow us to advertise and try to fill one of them. And once we get that one advertised and filled, then we'll discuss filling the other one. And then, of course, I've got several hours of shortages due to the people following in the COVID protocols. So we're running kind of tight right now. You're also going to see a request for a NIBRS program. That's the National Incident-Based Reporting System. It's replacing UCR. This is not a new project. This is something that we've discussed for a couple of years, but it kicks in January 1st, and we pretty much have to fund it this year to be in compliance with this unfunded federal mandate. And then we.
Okay. Just interrupt quick, sorry, just go back there. It says the department also requests 10% increase in overtime. Is that increase pay, or just you want 10% more additional overtime hours available?
That's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Well, no, because ones you work the same amount of overtime, you get paid 10% more, others work 10% more hours.
Can't do that because it's based on their regular rate. So he's just asking for more.
Yeah, more. I don't think we've upped our overtime budget since 2017 or 18. I think we did it in FY 18.
Because your overtime rate's based on your hours.
Right, and we've had a couple pay raises then, and you know, we pay overtime.
Just ask for 10%, allow 10% more overtime.
Right, we pay overtime at time and a half, so
Right.
a 10% increase in salaries translate to 15% increase in overtime, so.
Okay. Sorry, you can go back. I just
Okay.
curious that.
And then the last thing we want to talk about is a radio system upgrade. Again, this is a project we've been discussing for about 5 years. Just as a reminder, all emergency services communications fall within the police department, even though we provide communications for EMS, fire, the constable's office, and as well as the police department. But that's where it falls in our budget. It falls under the police department budget, even though it benefits all these agencies independently.
Have we been funding this?
I
I know we haven't funded all of it, but I thought it was a multi-year deal. We've been paying out.
funded, we put 125,000 in last year or this year's budget. But again, with the COVID tax shortages, that's one of the projects that we identified that we could push forward in another year, trying to mitigate some of the tax loss revenue. But we are at end of life, and it just means we can't get parts. So if our system starts failing, we can't get parts. We're not manufacturing parts. Fortunately, the city of Corpus Christi bought up almost all the surplus parts, so there are some in this area, but they're no longer manufacturing them. And this is a regional program that's based off of a federal mandate. And the program is progressing throughout the region, and we are still on the sidelines.
And how long is this gonna last?
This radio system?
5-year radio system or 10-year radio system?
30 years?
Yeah, or 20-year radio system?
Well, I thought-
It's the technology itself will last forever. It's the only reason we've changed it at all is because the federal government's required us to after 9/11 to go to these different radio protocols, and the big one being a P25 protocol, which allows, and I'm no radio expert by any stretch, but it basically allows interoperability between different radio systems. And we've been migrating towards that P25 protocol for a couple of years, and this actually puts us on it.
Yes, haven't we been buying radios, even though we're not on this new system? The
Right,
radios that
we've
we're
got
buying?
the radios, but we don't have the infrastructure.
I thought it was like, so the radios were compatible with the new system, but it wasn't as the radios, old radios die, we're replacing with new ones that are upgradable or whatever. Got it. Okay.
Okay, so going through our request, personnel, we're asking the council to refund, to fund again, to reauthorize the positions we lost post Harvey. The detective position was a needed position, and we just pulled a patrol officer off the street and put them into that detective position. So detective and patrol officers on the same pay scale. I still need a position, but he would be in patrol or she would be in patrol instead of in CID.
So you just pulled someone off patrol to make them effective to replace him?
To replace him.
So really, you're just replacing patrol officer.
Right. We had a need for a records clerk a couple years ago, so we took a dispatch position and reclassified them in that records position. I need the dispatcher back. And then the third one is that third patrol sergeant. We talked already about budget, bumping our overtime budget by about 10%. Under supplies and services, we're decreasing our requests by $47,000 compared to last year. Part of that is money for the K-9 that y'all budgeted. And even though you budgeted, we didn't need to expend that money because we were able to get donations that offset all or most of those costs. A large chunk of it is contract labor for spring break labor, because the spring breaks have not been as busy the last couple of years, and we're going to start a different operation plan, and we're scaling back some of that contract labor, but we are asking for the labor we do hire to be paid $5 an hour more than what we have been paying. We've been paying 30. We're asking to take that rate to 35, which is pretty consistent with the rest of Coastal Bend for those types of services. The capital is where it gets expensive. The NIBRS program is $80,000. We have our vendors, for lack of a better term, has us by the short hairs. They have a proprietary interest in that programming, and they are the only game in town. They have an absolute monopoly on that programming. We're still running Windows 7. We need to upgrade to Windows 10 to operate that. So that's part of that expense, and a large chunk of it is just increased training. It's a nightmare program. The radio system upgrade, the total project cost is about $750,000 over however long we choose to do that. Like I said, we had 125,000 in this year. Last year, the vendor offered us a 5-year real low interest program. This year, they're offering us 2 years instead of 5, but at 0 interest. But that's a large chunk of that. They want close to 50% up front. So if we can find some alternative financing over a longer period of time, we might be able to drop that request for this year substantially. But bottom line is the $750,000, whether we pay for it over 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. So a large chunk of that is why it went from 125 to 450 this year, is because the financing terms changed and they want more upfront. And then that includes a down payment, a payment this year, two $90,000 payments next year, and then in FY22 or FY23, one $90,000 payment. So it'll be paid off sooner, but bigger cost. We went through the personnel. The only other issue I have is with our animal control. They're asking that we currently have a full-time and a part-time position. We've been trying to supplement it for 10 years using volunteers. Kind of hit and miss, but basically it just doesn't work. If we can convert that part-time position and go to 2 full-time positions, then we'll put them on 10-hour shifts and extend their work days by a couple hours into the evenings. and have a little bit of weekend coverage also. Along with the capital improvement, I think in 2013 or 12, we bought a traffic trailer and a whole bunch of cones that we use for everything in town that involves traffic control and traffic movement. Again, similar to the radio project, even though it falls on the police department budget, that those cones and trailer are used by virtually every department in the city. The trailer got submerged in Harvey. We were able to patch it and get it working again, but now it's starting to rust from the inside out. And
Is it on the list for FEMA at all, or can we get reimbursed?
we got,
since it's
we got
already-
money for it, but we were able to fix it instead of replace it at the time. So the money got used for other projects. And then we need to replace cones and stanchions that have been lost, stolen, broken, run over the last 6 or 7 years. And that's what I've got as far as parking. I don't know, or as far as budget issues. I don't know if you want to run real quick. I heard you all had a little bit of a discussion on golf carts before I came in, but the sound quality was so poor, I
What's your two cents on that?
couldn't understand what.
Before we talk about that, can I ask, what's your total? You got everything on the wish list, what would the total be?
Yeah, it's $1.1 million in capital, 232,000 in supplies and services, and then I don't have any idea on personnel, dependent on what's funded and what's not funded, and salaries, and so I don't cost out personnel. I'm sure Darla can.
So Darla, I was looking at the budget last year, and the final approved budget last year was 3.2 with a, a little over 300 of that being capital. Are we gonna meet that? Are we gonna be right on budget at 3.2? Did we spend it all? Sounds like a couple things we didn't spend, because he's asking for reallotments or reallocations of some of these roles.
Right, his 125 for his.
We didn't spend,
We
right?
didn't spend,
Right.
he's asking to carry that forward.
Okay.
The rest of it, I don't have a itemized. financial.
We've gone through most of it. I think we've got a little bit left over, probably less than 20,000 in vehicle equipment. We were able to reuse some of the equipment from the cars that we took out of service instead of having to buy new for them.
And he probably has some personal.
Yeah, we're gonna have we're gonna have significant personnel savings.
I just wonder what the net effect is. What you really spent.
Well, I haven't really built his budget for salaries for the year yet, but we haven't talked about the administration, but we do have an increase in our health insurance. We're going up to this. We were not gonna have, those aren't due till July 24th. That can make a significant difference overall to the entire team. Yeah.
Yeah, but almost all that capital, half of it is gonna be that radio system.
Yeah, because it's 400,000 for Harvey leaves, that's a FEMA project.
Well, that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah. I mean, the rental for his, we only pay 10% of the, 25% of the 10% match, versus that from the state, and for a match for the building, we did have in the budget this year, 500,000 for the PD and fire hurricane recovery projects. I mean, probably should fund a little bit more in match for some things out of general fund, but your peers, different things. A dispatcher is about 53,500. These are loaded with
Yeah.
benefits and everything. Police sergeant's 87,000, police officer 66. And the difference between having a part-time animal control to a full-time is about 36.
Okay.
Yes.
They don't get
Oh,
benefits
that's
at
right,
part-time.
Yeah, their package kicks in.
Yeah, they don't have a package when they're part-time.
Can you go to those numbers? I'm sorry, is the dispatcher's what, 37?
No, 53,500.
The detective or the police officer with 66K?
Police officer 66. Sergeant 87. part-time to full-time animal.
36, got it, okay.
And if we, there's a note there on the line items also, if we do hire additional police officers, I'm gonna need another $5,000 out of uniform funds for each one we hire. The dispatcher we can absorb with our current budget. The police officers, we have to buy firearms. The bulletproof vest is $1,100. So that's about $5,000, $5,500 out for the police officer.
5K additional per officer.
I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, based on the total wish list, which sounds like 400 of it's off, but you got everything lined up from a $3.2 million overall budget. To a $4 million overall budget, including the capital.
And again, about half of that's that radio system, which really needs to be divided amongst all the emergency services
Okay,
budgets.
so that was my next question. So currently, no departments are on the same system? I mean, like, right now, you.
No,
constable,
we're-
fire, EMS,
we're
you're
all on the same
you're
system. Yeah.
System now.
Yeah.
So really, this is replacement for all of you, but
Right.
it only comes out of the police department
So-
budget.
Right.
Shouldn't it be like, maybe it should be broken up into EMS and
That doesn't
fire?
matter. It's
and-
all-
It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
I mean,
It's,
it's all the same money.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure.
yeah,
That Tim's not gonna say, oh, now here's my part of that.
It's all the same.
Right. It's all the same money, but I just.
If we can take it out every time I tell you, say, yeah, yeah.
Well, all that police, for all those jurists that are here with their heads in bed, so you think
It's
it's,
true.
that would work, but I know it doesn't.
Hey, you advertise, come down for the policing.
Come down to the police.
there were a couple other side items that I put in there just for your consideration. Parking is really becoming a premium along the beach. I think we ought to consider requiring or eliminating parallel parking along the bollards. A 42-foot trailer pulled by a F-350 occupies 8 parking spots
I agree.
or more.
I agree too. I think that's great that you mentioned it. I mean, that you have it on here.
But then you have to police that.
That was pretty
It's a
easy to
lot of
police.
parking.
We
No, I
have-
see it all the time. They
We
park
have discussed
along
this in the
way.
past, and I just, yeah, that's fine.
The defined driving lane is pretty much just between Avenue G and, or I guess Lantana and Access Road 1A. If you see the barrels that go up every spring for spring break, I'd like to replace those barrels with some, not as dense as the barrels are, but just establish a bollard line that continues along that barrel line and establish that driving lane. Particularly gets sticky down around marker 40, 42, 43 on the busy weekends because the beach narrows there and we have rows of umbrellas and chairs and stuff that get set up and the people start parking golf carts behind that and all of a sudden we don't have driving lanes between the dune line and the golf carts and the cars that are parked down there.
Yeah, so can you show us where it is on the map?
Where that would.
Cinnamon
I mean, I
Shore.
know what you're talking about, but what do you? so the
Cinnamon
bollards
Shore.
Cinnamon Shore.
Start about here.
Right.
So
Bollards start at marker 19, which is just south of.
Right where your
Right
finger is.
Right where my finger is, right.
Yes.
So what are you proposing?
All the way down to.
We would put bollards at about 260-foot intervals, right? So there'd be one at each mile marker or each post and then, and at the half post also, kind of as a point of reference. So there would be one at marker 20, at 20 and a half, at 21, at 21 and a half, at 22, not a solid row like we have now. They would just be
To better define a driving lane.
the divided driving lane, and then like we do during spring break, the parking would be on the water side of the bollards and the driving would be on the dune side of the bollard. So we don't have people parking up in the driving lanes.
Now, are we gonna?
All the way down to Cinnamon Shore?
all the way
I'd
down
like
to-
all the way to city limits. Yeah.
What is that gonna cost?
Well, it's gonna be labor. I mean, there's probably gonna be 100 posts. Is that right? If we did 2 per mile, 3 per mile? So it'd be about 100
You think
posts.
that would then make people
it would help. Most people that come here, they violate the rules because they're ignorant of them, not because they intentionally want to violate the rules. So if we can show them, and what I'm thinking also, you know, we have a hard time finding people on the beach. They don't know to look up in the dunes for the marker posts. We could move those signs down to the beach. So that marker 20 and 25 and 32 are on the beach. The bollard would become that marker post. And so when people need emergency services, they can just look over their shoulder and see the closest post without having to try to figure out where they are in the dune line.
Is that what the cans are now?
Now, the cans, as you transition from the end of the bollards, they're in front of the golf course. They are in that general vicinity, but then as you transition past Access Road 1, they go back up into the dunes. We move them back up into the dune line. Trash cans and Skidoo cans,
And you would keep those there?
because there's too much water action.
You either get any pushback from like, I don't know, like Citizen Shores or Laconia by putting stuff there?
Well, no, you're not putting a solid line up. You're just putting them every, 200 and something feet. You know, you're just putting like a little cluster.
Every 20th of a mile.
People to run into.
I think it'd be awesome.
You think what?
I think they're really gonna like it if we make no parallel parking.
My question with that though is they're still coming, so now we've got them going out into where you drive, because they'll still park there.
Well, then their RV will be in the water in the middle of the night morning. They probably won't park there. but They have to think long and hard about it. I think that's why they park parallel.
Well, they park parallel because their doors, if you park it perpendicular, the wind catches the doors and springs the door.
But
So,
also, if you park parallel, you get to occupy a whole lot.
and I don't know that we need to stop the parallel parking south of 19, south of the bollards, but at least right now, but I think
We're gonna
we
get-
definitely
we're
need-
gonna hear it if we don't.
we definitely need to do it along the bollards.
We had that problem in the past. We moved it down there and the people said, hey, no, you can't force it down here. So we had to allow it.
Well, and that's why
everywhere.
you go through 3 public hearings, so everybody can voice their opinion.
Remember the one time? Not let RVs.
No, it was basically, I remember it was on P and Z, they were like, we're gonna allow you to RV park, but it had to be like south of Access Road 1 or 1A, whatever. And then, I think it was, but I don't remember.
Sonny Castor.
Somebody came up and said, look, this is unfair, you're pushing down in front of my
Yeah, it was
property.
Sonny.
Yeah, that's
Pushing in
right.
front of my
They
property.
don't want any
And
RVs
so
in front of their
the solution was, the only solution was, well, we got to allow them all over the beach or no RV camping. And then the state said they couldn't deny RV camping.
No, the state said we couldn't charge them a different permit.
Tried to charge $40.
Yeah, but we created a $40 permit and they said, no. That has to be a coastal management plan.
Yeah, but also said that we couldn't ban them from camping on the beach. Something like that. Anyway, I don't remember, this was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But, so the net effect was we couldn't push them down.
Well, we used to have them just in one spot.
But I'm saying, that's
They
where,
used to be down in front of the golf course.
and maybe we just put no parallel parking north of Access Road 1.
Well, I mean, but if you don't allow parallel parking at all, they're not gonna park anywhere north of Access Road 1 because of all it. I mean, there's just nowhere for them to park, so, I mean,
Is-
You're gonna
if-
push them all south.
you're
Yeah.
gonna push them all south.
If,
It's gonna be a
if they're probably 40 foot or smaller, they could park down there, but anything over 42, 45 feet is
That
not
was
gonna
my
fit there.
concern, was in front of the bollards, they're gonna be pushed out the street, so it would have to be farther
Yeah,
down.
you're exactly, or
Just give the issue to P and Z.
Yeah, that's, we're not gonna solve it today, but that's something we definitely can look into.
I think it's both, I think it's worth looking at.
And then the other thing, I put a note in there, we're rebuilding the Public Works area. The car wash on Avenue G, the rinse wash got wiped out in the hurricane and not rebuilt. And I think it'll be worth exploring, putting a rinse bay for city vehicles.
You know about the one where you put the like dollar and you would drive through and spray over the hood and
Yeah.
underneath?
Yeah.
We asked for that once before.
I don't think so. We'd had some discussions about it, and there are some TECQ issues with it because of the petroleum that's on the base of the vehicles. So there has to be a recovery system that goes along with it and stuff like that, but it's, but there's two other car washes in town. But
And we just put a garden hose and just drive.
well, that's what we're doing right now, but I promise you, every vehicle we got's gonna rust out a year and a half earlier than it did before the storm.
If you did something like that, David, is that something that all city departments use, including the lifeguards, because they come up here right here and spray off their cars for
Right.
6 hours?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm suggesting we do it over there at Public Works, and that would just be a city facility.
They're getting clean, they're getting clean. But I mean, that's right, I mean, it wouldn't, again, something funded out of the police budget, but maybe.
Well, I don't want to put it on the police budget. I'm just saying it's part of the rebuild. Yeah, well, I don't care.
That's beach fund. We're gonna do it for just the beach vehicle.
That'll work.
That's right.
That's the only vehicles that need to be done, because we're
No,
just gonna get
it's-
Sandy.
I mean,
That's right. They're on the beach.
I know those lifeguards out there.
We like it.
Well, you know, you have to have freeze traps, but that's the only requirement.
And I understand there was a bit of a discussion going on before I came over here about golf carts. and-
No, there wasn't.
Okay, good. I'm done. If there's any questions you want to answer.
Are most of the golf cart accidents at night?
I'd
or is
say,
it just a
yeah,
toss-up?
it's probably a toss up, but I mean, they come and go. It's,
Doesn't matter, can be 10 in the morning, could be midnight.
yeah, we had one at lunch today at A in Allister,
Do
and
you think the golf carts are too fast?
well, it depends on where they are. They're too fast for the beach, but they're too slow for the streets.
So like putting a curfew or slowing the golf carts down, you know, is gonna help the issues that.
I don't know.
having
I
cars
mean,
fall
it's,
over, people falling out,
yeah, most of the people that fall out they're gonna be
driving.
people that have been drinking most of the day, the people that are falling out of the golf carts.
Chief, when the guys see like a 10-year-old driving a cart, do they know to whip it around and pull them? Who gets the ticket in that instance?
It's the driver or the parent that allowed the child to drive.
Okay.
And you'll see it in your monthly reports. This is allowed unlicensed operator. It's what the citation reads in your monthly reports.
I had a kid almost come down the ramp at it was either Mustang Royale or Beach Walk 1 or 2, and they almost just, I mean, they came down that ramp fast and almost hit me. And I hit my brakes and got out. And it was like a 10-year-old. Dad was in the back and like 4 other kids. And his eyes were about this big. I said, if a cop sees you, he's gonna confiscate your cart and give you a huge fine. Yes, sir. Get out of the seat. I told you not to do that.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Whatever,
Right after
dude.
you
Yeah, I can see,
He
I can see that
yells
conversation.
at- he yells
Dad,
at
I'm
the
driving.
kid.
You need to get in the back seat. I don't want any lip
Yeah,
from you.
he yells at the kid. I'm like. All right, thank you, chief.
Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you.
Before we leave, I got history something, disinfect the entrances, try to enter 30 minutes, and disinfect the bag. That'd be something you can just make sure you can talk about $250.
Is it ozone generator?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Like, but that kill virus, I thought it would kill bacteria.
Yeah, it supposedly kills viruses. I mean,
I don't know.
no, I mean, short of the UVC lights, it like a whole other problem. They're more expensive. The ozone layer is supposed to be killing viruses and bacteria. I'm just thinking.
I don't know, will it have any effect on the electronics in the vehicle?
No, the thing is, in other response sense, I actually bought one for our store for another purpose. And I only thought it did bacteria or virus, it doesn't do virus. So I thought I had it, at least my big reading that I have.
Yeah, Sherry's looking at a UV for,
But they're also good if say you had a perp who like puke in the back of your vehicle, it will also get all the smell out of it. It's like,
yes.
it's like, no, seriously, it will, it's something that will clear out your car so it doesn't smell.
It's making me anti-Santa, whatever.
heebie-jeebies.
Oh, Glade plug-in.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Actually, we're not giving out any money today. so-
Okay, well,
Actually, actually, I'm not giving out any money at all.
appreciate EMS flying on radio system for the city.
I'm glad to participate in that, that's for sure. Afternoon,
I
everybody.
don't know if you want to agree to that. There went, there are 3 ambulances.
Yeah, I know, well, four? No,
Speaking of how are our ambulances, before we get started there, I know that we were having some issues. I know one's on delay. Are we, I see them going by all the time. We still running problems.
we're having a problem every week with one of the trucks, the two older ones. I mean, it's an injector plug this week, it's an airbag next week, it's,
Got me there back. You can save yourself. Just kidding.
yeah, but,
Just kidding.
it's duct tape and baling wire, you know, and but that's where we're at with it. And the biggest problem is not having them housed. That's taken,
That's the flip side. I'm also scared to buy anything new until we get a place to put it, because all we're doing for shortening the life of anything we buy new.
like I said, the one we bought in 2017, or right after Harvey, that one's been great. We've had no mechanical issues, there's no rust. Put a heavy duty paint job on it, which I think has went a long way. It sealed it up real well. But as far as the vehicle fleet, it's just $500 here, $700 there.
Yeah, it's killing us.
Yes,
I mean, we're down one or two ambulances. It's almost like every 2 or 3 weeks it's down.
No, so that's just, yeah.
well, circumstances are what they were with the COVID, but now we're at this end of it now, so.
Can we still buy the one in this budget?
It won't get delivered before the 30th.
Well, they still have it on the line and they're ready to push it in and start on it. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah,
that,
but how long does
10 weeks.
It doesn't matter when you buy it, it matters when it actually arrives on the property.
it matter when the license?
Yeah, they can't do, we can't use COVID for an excuse with the factory being delayed. I'm just,
And we don't have it on the agenda.
oh, okay. But we've got I gave you plenty of information to decipher. The big thing is I cut everywhere I could possibly cut. I told Darla I was really happy. I cut almost $30,000 off the supplies and services, but then I had to up my maintenance cost because we're going to break. I'm already over budget this year. I was over budget last year. You know, I didn't anticipate $30,000 of maintenance repair. So I adjusted that up to 30,000, and then just one additional little item that I put in there for $2,500 or $3,000. So all the money that I saved pretty much went right out the window with maintenance increase. I think I came down about $3,000 under last year's operations on that and supplies. I'll be happy to answer any questions or our biggest need is vehicles, or at least a vehicle. The one reason I put a second ambulance as an option, I got a dealer down in McAllen, supposed to get the demo unit November, December. I don't know if it'd be, I don't know if it'd be worth it. I don't know what the cost would be on it, but that's why I just put it down as a, if we get a great deal, it falls in our lap. But we definitely need one ambulance to get us out of the woods. And then we'll duct tape the 2014 as long as we can and try to get through one more year. That was my hope anyway, was not to buy an ambulance this year with buying one in this present year's budget, but anyway, that's kind of where I'm at on the vehicles. Definitely need one to.
Yeah, we got a 322, we gotta get it replaced, and then just, we pray for a year for
333.
333.
I saw your request to promote one of the paramedics to lieutenant.
Yes.
I didn't know that you could be a lieutenant. But
Well,
I
we-
get- I mean, I
Yeah.
read it, so I understand that, you know, what that means as far as workload and stuff like that. What is, and maybe I missed that, but what is the financial impact of that?
My-
for our-
My recommendation was a one-step raise, which would be 3%. It's just, my workload is, it keeps increasing administratively. And then by having someone promoted up to the lieutenant position, that means there is a supervisory person that will see every crew every week, which gives us better managerial coverage. You know, I've delegated out to what I can to certain people, but I really need a number two, and a lieutenant seems to be a good spot for if we eventually merge with fire, then all the rank and positions and all that's a whole other headache. But we already had job description for lieutenant. We tried, when we hired the 4 people back, when we went to 2 crews, I tried to promote lieutenants and that was a disaster. We tried to put 1 per crew rotation and they couldn't get along. And so I don't need 3 lieutenants. I just need 1 person that's willing to step up and do the work and help me accomplish goals.
Yeah, I do. You have anybody in mind?
I do, but I would bid it out as per city ordinance and make sure that, you know, we dot the i's and cross the t's.
TSO asset on a module fire, I saw, I read that, saw a number of 2,095 and then 2,495.
I'm sorry, it was, he sent me 2 different quotes and basically it's $29.95 a year. And then the 1 year, we have to pay a trainer fee where they come and teach us how to use it. But that's for a 10 vehicle fleet. And the nice thing about the 10 vehicle fleet, fire could use that program as well if they chose to and keep up with inventory, maintenance. It's all done on the laptop, very easy to use. I sat through a 2-day class earlier this year on all the bells and whistles it offers along when I went to the conference. I think it gives us something to help us with maintenance cost and help us get rid of some of the confusion sometimes we run in between ourselves and maintenance. We use ESO for all of our patient care records, all my analytics, the reports I generate. This is just another 2 modules that fit right in really, really well with it.
Just a question, I know that we raised the EMS
Revenue,
pickup rate or whatever.
right.
Has that helped? I mean, seems like we're pretty busy. Has that brought in any significant amount of money or help kind of cover the budget a little bit?
When did you send that to Emergicon though?
It went effective April 1st.
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten much bills. We don't do our own collections anymore. Remember, we outsourced it.
They-
We can tell you what the last.
I just was just more curious, because I remember we were talking about, it was helping increase recovery of.
Right.
Things, so I was just curious how that was working.
I mean, like I said, we may still be 2 or 3 months out from getting a really good feel.
Yeah, there's such a lag.
That's fine.
Yeah. And in April, we didn't do very many calls because we were locked down. But since May 1st, we're running double what we normally run this time of year. Every day is on the average of 7 or 8 calls a day instead of,
I hear y'all going out all the time.
and unfortunately, the last 6 or 7 days, 80% of our calls that we go out to are probable COVID type patients. So every call now means a respirator, just not an
Right, and I
N90.
saw we had
Yeah.
an issue at
Oh, yeah, yeah.
At Deep Sea, a young boy had a seizure and they came in with their alien suit.
Yes, but my guys weren't overly thrilled about it, but after I talked to the medical director and he agreed that it's a little excessive, but when the N95 is not enough, this is what is enough. And he says, if you want to err on the side of protecting your crews, he says, because you can't afford to go down. We had 2 crews that got exposed and they were out 14 days on quarantine. And their test results came back on day 13 and day 17. So it's like we quarantined.
Were they negative?
Yeah, they were negative,
Yeah.
but since they were exposed, we had to, so this way, even if they are exposed, I mean, the patient's positive, if they've done everything, there's no reason they can't continue working. And that's the goal.
I
So
understand. Okay.
the only other, really the other big thing is 219 is a rust bucket. It's just one bump from the bottom falling out. If the city has another vehicle that they would normally auction off, it's in better shape than 219, it's a 2003. If I could get that designated, so we would have that backup for when the ambulances are down, it's just a spare resource to have. It's only gonna cost us insurance. Like I said, it's only got 50,000 miles. It runs great, but the dash is almost all withered away from the heat and,
I was wondering about all the notes in there. It said,
yeah, it is. We've held it together for as long as we can and, we don't drive it that often, but when you need it, you need it. And, then, the brakes go out or it's chewing up brake lines, no matter what, maintenance has tried to do. Chevy. Yeah, so
what's the lifespan of these ambulances?
normally, in all my years, I find 100,000 miles, 7 years. That's about the break even where you start running mechanical problems. Now, I think with the last ambulance I bought, I think I can get, knocking on wood, I can get 9 years out of it. And I think we can go a little over 100,000 miles. It just seems it's a better built truck than the ones that we had previously bought. The engine's good so far. And the nice thing is there's no rust on it. Like I said, we spent some money on the heavy duty paint, but it's made a big difference on rust and corrosion. We sent the other ones back twice. They say they fixed it and it's probably 9 months away from taking a hammer and tacking and being able to put a little hole in the box.
Like if your 5 vehicles and unit 322 is going on 7 years, 346, 332.
Right. The 348 is my Tahoe, so I can get 2 or 3 more years out of that. I take good care of it, try to keep it clean and, everything like that. And that doesn't get ran near as hard as the ambulances, but the ambulances, 7 years, 100,000 miles, and it starts nickel and diming you to death as we've seen with 322.
Do they have diesel engines?
Yeah, they're all diesel. They do have gas available, but those cause more problems, especially in the hot, humid weather. Anywhere I've ever worked, and we get a little bit better gas mileage with the diesels. You can let them idle, and you don't get near the wear and tear on the parts that you do with the gas engines. But I think that was pretty much everything I begged for. Like I said, I cut corners everywhere I could, and I didn't ask to come off the truck this year. Next year or the following year, I'm going to be 60 years old, and these 4872s are beating the hell out of me. And walking down the jetty to pick somebody up that weighs 350 pounds. And my next youngest guy is 15 years younger than I am. I just, I try to keep myself in good shape, but 60 years old to 60 years old, and it's getting a lot harder. So, I mean, just kind of, I love it here. I don't want to go anywhere else. And I'm just being honest with you that another couple of years, we really need to think about as we transition, especially if we end up merging with fire. Did you have any questions about that? Getting my guys cross-trained? It was in the packet. Any questions at all about that?
Yeah.
Kind of related, but, is there any way we can do a temporary garage for if we buy new vehicles? It just seems like, again, it just seems terrible to buy brand new vehicles and sit them outside where they're gonna rust. And nothing as elaborate as the fire department, but maybe something, I don't wanna say
The
temporary.
problem is
building.
that we need to be on site, they need to be able to run out of their bunks and get into their ambulances. So your only option would be to ask Nick if they could do some type of temporary, like some of those little, just
Like a
to
pole
get
barn?
just to get the sun off of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be just
Well, I mean, I'm wondering, basically a shaded carport almost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's,
But it just
Yeah.
seems like something that.
You did 419, that's the newest one?
yes, sir.
You said it's running good.
Oh, yeah, that
Exterior
one's,
looks good.
yeah, it's,
Anyway, just something.
No, I know, we're in a rental and they need to be right there.
I know, I'm just trying, I just hate to buy something new and then just.
have it sit out, right.
It's hard out, I mean, the environment's hard on
Mhm.
everything, so.
We got in the truck the other day and one of my guys went on a call, went and put on his respirator mask. And we pulled up behind him. He wasn't wearing his mask. So I jumped out and I'm just giving him fits. He says, well, I had it on. I said, well, why isn't it on now? He says, because I had it in the dash and it put my face on fire. And then the inside the ambulance the other day was 110 degrees when we left on a call. And that's, we have air conditioner in the back, to keep our medications cool and everything, but
I'll get you some sunshade.
yeah, those working along with the guy, we just got to remember to use them all the time. Yes, everything helps.
That is the trick.
But other than that, my guys, for the most part, are pretty, I don't know if gun ho's are the right word, but they understand the necessity of getting cross-trained for fire. And for do more to protect our city. So I think that will be a good win for us as we proceed forward. I'll be back in touch with Danaville hopefully this week. They've been covered up with COVID like we have and haven't got a chance to chat with Chief Clack up there, but we're going to try to see if we can get the online stuff started ASAP.
Yeah, you utilized that 3 weeks ago. Appreciate it.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Thank you, Tim.
You bet. Good group of guys. I like them.
All right.
If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to call or email me. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're gonna do, Parks and Rec. Yeah.
Can you call like a 2-minute break?
Yeah, 2-minute break.
We're behind on.
Hey,
Can I have Nature Preserve and Beach go first? June.
yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Well, we'll let Ray go first.
Yeah, they're taking a 2-minute break.
And what we had last year. Yeah, and if we were gonna, you said April people weren't here.
Right.
I'll let you know.
I can't hear anything. Oh, okay. And it'll come back on. Okay, thanks. All righty. Bye-bye.
Nature Preserve. They can't hear me, so I'm
That's
gonna
it,
go real loud.
you don't hear?
I hope so.
Don't?
Well, she'll be able to hear Ray, so that's all she cares
Okay.
Okay,
about. All right, go ahead, Ray.
okay.
Kick it off.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So do you have this? Okay. For the nature preserve, the first, item that we're requesting, so this is, I'm not sure like if this has been done like this before, but we have an opportunity to apply for some grant funding. And we just kind of became aware of it, so we figured we'd bring it up here because we need 25% matching funds for this opportunity, and the grant will be paying 75%. So pretty good leverage funds there. So this, we would like to work with our partners in the cooperative weed management area, and which is the group that works on pepper tree removal in this area to remove pepper trees in the nature preserve and city properties. So.
Just saying that.
Yeah.
That's right.
No,
I actually just talking about it. Well, when I put something like this on the agenda, we didn't have your.
Okay, yeah, I was on another call, so I heard a little bit of that earlier. But yeah, we're thinking
out in Charlie's pasture, because we have some other grant funds right now to work in marsh, or pepper trees that are really close to marshes, but so use this funding and to apply to work on the upland areas. Another sort of idea. We had was also to construct a fire break. So we can maybe burn the 67 acres to try and get some of those. Okay, good. I'm sure how I was gonna go over, but anyway, so this isn't, yeah. And we haven't applied for this yet. The letter of intent is due, I think, in August, and so we were just, if we would work on city property, I was like, well, let me, see if the city council and the city is interested in if this is possible to get the matching funds for that, because it would be, that would go a long way, $75,000 to work on treating and removal of pepper trees. We put in there other invasives, because if there are other invasives, like we have problems with white lead tree and guinea grass, if they're there in the area we're working, then of course we would be working on those plants as well. So, any other questions? Pretty straightforward. So the second item is a zero-turn mower for the nature preserve. So currently we use a John Deere that's kind of old and it's really slow. And we're going to be coming up here in the next couple of years, a lot more trails in addition to the ones we used to have being rebuilt. But when we connect Paradise Pond to Community Park, we're going to have behind Channel Vista. And then right now we're working on behind the Birding Center. And that'll connect to the 361 Charlie's pasture. So we're going to have a lot more trails, and it would make their jobs more efficient.
Wouldn't the brush hog better than
Yeah, we're thinking.
Well, don't go brush hog, it's one, like, that CBA, like, run over trees or everything.
Well, that would be.
I'm not a big brush hog.
Yeah.
We'll walk behind them.
Well, for what,
This is what they do.
this is just for like grass on the edge
Yeah,
of the
this is
trail.
like they have a trail, and they mow like they establish like a 4-foot,
Yeah,
cut grass.
Sure. Okay,
Area,
sorry, I
so
missed
they're
it. I
just-
thought you
Yeah,
were like going through.
Yeah, no, no.
and
Oh,
cutting
no.
the path and trying to-
yeah, I was like, that'd be awesome, but. Yeah.
Okay, got it, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, misunderstood.
Just the
when you
edge
said
of the
trail.
trails, so,
Got it.
sometimes we've borrowed them from the normal grounds crew, but they use them, especially this time of year, like all the time, so, it'll be good for us to, now that we have 2 groundskeepers as well, to have more of our own equipment instead of having to borrow all the time. So, and then the next thing is a garage for the Nature Preserve headquarters, because as we start to get more equipment, we would need more space to store it. And right now, kind of a lot of our stuff is scattered at some of the other grounds through locations, so we could put everything together. And the other reason is also we're gonna be getting our herbicide applicator license here in a couple of weeks, hopefully. We have some staff taking the exam. So we actually need a separate location to store our chemicals. So we could use our shed for that as our chemical storage. It shouldn't be where our crew is working, like the air ventilation in there isn't very good and stuff like that. So we can utilize that for the chemicals and then have a safe place to work and store everything.
Would this be, Ray, on the same property, like where the lifeguard building also proposed?
No, this would be
Yeah,
on the back, probably on the west side of the existing Parks and Rec building, which I think is a good little spot.
We're
Yeah.
gonna try and do a swap where
With
the
the-
shed is right now,
Yeah.
we can put a bigger building.
Yeah,
and
there's a
then
little-
the
yeah.
shed by
yeah,
Whose shed is that?
the Nice car building, that's ours, it's just
Yeah.
not big enough to hold this return.
Right, but I mean, is it Parks and Rec or is that Nature Preserve?
Nature Preserve,
Oh, it is.
yeah.
Are we looking at building something and buying a prefab, or are we looking at buying just like a shipping container and using that?
No, a little
Prefab, so Johnny's shop here on Avenue A, it's the same exact little, it's like it's 16 by 20 portable building. Yeah, 16, yeah. So They're actually, we looked into it there, if you outfit them with the, ventilation and like all that stuff, it's not that much cheaper than,
Yeah, they're about $4,000.
yeah, it's probably $4,000 or $5,000.
Then you gotta get them delivered.
Well, yeah.
Then you gotta alter them.
And I mean,
Pay an engineer to windstorm.
yeah, that's,
No, because
Then you-
then you paint them, you make them look.
Yeah, then you spend,
She was not there.
right, then you spend $4,000 making them look pretty.
yeah, so this one looks like a little cottage, kind of,
Ow.
so,
I just love that building. It looks so good.
yeah.
The sign and management.
Thank you. Yep,
Well, that's
all.
easy.
Pretty straightforward. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Joe, your bird calls are going off.
No, that's my 5 o'clock bird call.
It's Scott out there
Yeah, I was
doing
gonna
like, doing mating calls or something. Tricking the bird.
It's like, God, it's has a bird every hour.
Me?
All right,
First of all,
there.
thank Jared Matthews,
You're a little more expensive.
but I got a fund, right? I got a hot tax beach fund that's got some funds in there. So first of all, on behalf of the entire Surf Rescue team, thank you so much for all your time and consideration as well. Maybe we'll start with the station because that's the highest ticket price. Obviously, a lot of other cities along Texas coast have a lifeguard station. As y'all just noticed, we're operating out of those 2 container boxes. The challenges there, of course, are, I should back up a little bit. To be more effective and more professional, we feel that, or we're hoping that y'all might feel that we would be able to obviously have a station where we would be able to preserve the equipment, right? We'll have 2 bay doors underneath, so we'll be able to pull our equipment in, getting it out of all the elements. We're going through trucks really fast on the beach because they are sitting out a lot. We have a 2016 right now that is in dire need of a replacement. The administrative duties, obviously, that would go on there: interviews, hiring, scheduling, training. Right now, we're doing our medical training in the library whenever it's available. So that would give us a classroom to use in. Obviously, our logistics is very difficult right now because we go from the preserve office closet where we can charge our radios and our medical supplies are over there because it's out of the elements. We cannot keep that kind of stuff in the container boxes because of the heat over there. And then we come to container boxes. So that's 2 places to get ready. And then we come over here to get ice and so forth. So we're kind of all over, and we're hoping we might be able to be in one central location. Also, the location we thought would be ideal for visitors coming off the ferries, and it's a very busy intersection. Some confidence in our lifeguards at the beach. Preserve and maintain equipment. I mentioned that. Cleaning vehicles. You probably noticed us out front here during meetings and so forth and events. It kind of disrupts the events. We would love to have some concrete where we could spray off the vehicles and maintain them across the street. We feel that it would build confidence in the city as well as help with recruiting and retention and build pride in the surf rescue team.
I have a quick question.
Please.
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Is there no place on the beach that would make more sense?
It's funny you mentioned that because
Maybe can you get the county to pay for one?
David mentioned that. I called Scott today. And
Come on, Scott.
he told me that he would definitely bring that to the judge's attention and that he does not have plans for that land and doesn't think that he will ever have plans for that land. But it is a big corner that has a lot of dunes. I don't know the logistics or the process in getting that.
Yeah, we had talked about near, down on Beach Street somewhere, they just extended water's new, was it water or sewer down that
On
line? I
Beach
think,
Street?
yeah.
To the pier?
So
And then
it's,
on the beach
it's the
road?
main avenue to the
Yeah.
beach for
Yeah.
lifeguards. I mean, that's one of their main areas that they work. And so we talked about it being possibly on a piece of county land, maybe like right on that corner where you turn into the RV park.
I mean, I'm not opposed to this. I think it's great that you're creative and found the spot, but it just seems like the county could maybe help us with a solution for having a lifeguard station near the beach.
We have to, yes, but like having a garage for the vehicles, because storing them down there would be worse. Being on this side, I mean, it's true, I used to work on
Yeah.
the beach at Sandcastle. I mean, when I got off work, it's just different. Even
There's a
just
parking in the
going
garage, but I would say
a
the flip
half
side
a
is,
mile.
wouldn't it be, if we're already talking about possibly doing a spray and wash, then it may not matter, but maybe would this been better if it was over on the city property next to the fire and EMS and the park or the thing, or do you think it's over here would be?
You know, it's, I guess it kind of depends. A lot of the beach communities, the lifeguards are run out of the fire department. I think out in California, most of them run out of the fire department.
Galveston has theirs on the beach, Stewart Beach. It's a lot
Yeah,
bigger,
yeah,
of course.
so a lot of them aren't run out of Parks and Rec. As it's under Parks and Rec, it does make sense to be here. If you ever wanted to possibly switch them under, well, see, we don't have a full-time fire, so everywhere else, there's a full-time fire. South Padre, does
Galveston's
Galveston
different.
run there out of their fire?
It's park board.
Yeah, see, Galveston's it's run out of their park board, so they're closer to what we are. I think out west, the California guys and gals are all, I think those are fire departments. I don't know about the East Coast.
Well,
what
most of
their
California,
model is.
they're their own. They're outside of the fire department, actually. You know,
Yeah.
It's all county and San
Right.
Diego and so forth.
So, I mean, yes, you could look at the dirt over on Ninth Street. But if we keep ours under our Parks and Rec, it does make sense for them to be over here
That's why I was.
with the
If
other
county would
Parks
be
and Rec.
interested in letting them have an office, you know, but then store the vehicles over there, would that be, you probably want everything all together.
It makes it a lot better for us to be more effective.
But you wouldn't want to be on the beach or near the beach? I mean, if they could offer you a piece of property?
I mean, they're gonna basically show up every morning, then they're gonna lock the doors and leave for the day. So our town's so small. I think the best thing that it would do is be for presence,
Yeah.
especially for recruiting people.
Well,
and-
there is some advantage to being on the beach. We could have hot water there. So for the stingrays, the out of towners that don't have a place to go to get hot water relief, we can definitely take care of that. But you know, cutting through the dune and doing this kind of stuff, like you said, because it does need to be back behind there and then covered, because as you know, you can just wipe salt off your glasses all day long when you're on the beach. I'm happy to approach that with Scott. Like I said, I just got off the phone with him earlier today because I was hoping or thought this might come up and just approached it with him just to see. Scott Cross, sorry.
Yeah.
It seems like if we get the county property, more property use.
Are you're providing lifeguard assistance to the county portion of the beach as well, right?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we've increased the agreement from 8,000 when I started to 80,000 this year.
8,080?
Yes, ma'am.
And it, you know, it can change year to year and it depends on how many guards he has.
That what happened, I
Because
was,
the deal is that our beaches come first.
Sure.
thank you very much. What had happened, the county has been getting a lot of attention, and I was going to get to this a little bit later, but we'll skip ahead. The county has gotten a lot of attention from the drownings that happened last April with the young boy, and so Dahani Smith. And so they asked me to come down and speak at the Commissioner's Court when they were voting in July for the county to be Rip Current Awareness Month in his name. His mother, of course, was there, and she's kind of taken the torch and run with it and has gotten Todd Hunter behind her and doing some text dot signals and things like this, Amber Alert type things. But we've also tried to help them in pushing the USLA for them to get that certification, and they are working on it. And they also now have a county agreement. Scott actually approached us about doing the county agreement down there, and we reminded him that we're just City of Port Aransas. So, but no, it's definitely been a great growing relationship. But so I'm gonna get some more information on the beach location.
I think the site we could work on it. I mean, we really just need to you guys, as you move forward with your budget, you guys give us the marching orders, whether you want to move forward with it or not. The site, we can work on.
Right, so it's like, we're already, either ones we already paid for, so it's the building that we need to actually talk about.
Yeah, you guys would have to approve whether you want to do it or not. The site could happen, 4 months from now.
But this bid right here is what how much it would cost to build something like that.
Yeah, I use this location here. It's at only 750 square feet, air conditioning. And then down below, you would have the enclosed garage built on stilts. The exterior over here was a little bit larger, and so I got the estimate a little bit later, so I do want to share that with you. The concrete work over here, we're looking at about 15 to 20. It was 300 to 325, and so I took the 325 times 750 to get the 243, quoted from some local builders. There would be the stilt built, but hardy on the outside, to try and make it look kind of like a tower. The picture that we have there that y'all saw, it just really to emphasize the slanted roof. It was just a thought that it would be nice to make it look like a lifeguard tower and to have, our surf conditions flags flying along with the United States and Texas flags, and then have a big emblem and, a nice location where. Yes. Yeah.
Very pretty.
So this is gonna be under the, we're gonna get, basically, this would come out of money that we go for maintaining, right? But this is a pretty big chunk of that money to get back from the state. How would it affect the beach clean operation?
Okay.
Okay.
And then if we don't just get the beach money with the beach cleaning permit.
Sure.
um,
What's the
There's other revenues versus the expenses.
Sure. Well, I just know, it's not been tough, but it's pretty close.
I know, it's
I
way
just-
tough stuff.
Well, now with the new rebate or yes, but I just, didn't know in the past, like, say we had $1 million and we spend $1.25 million each year, and we're gonna take $250,000 for this, how does that affect that? But it's not gonna affect us at all.
The one thing we do need to explore, and if there was a walk-up component, Jared, where someone actually came and knocked on the door for jellyfish sting, you couldn't have a stairs-only facility that went up top. You'd have an ADA issue. So we gotta flush that out and see how the ADA would come into play. You might be able to do some stuff up top that was maybe not open to the public, like maybe your training facility room, but maybe an office or just something downstairs along with the garage, but we'll have to flush that out.
Is the county ever going to do their bathroom facilities on the beach?
Evident, supposedly, yes.
Maybe in that, they could implement some kind of lifeguard portion, not like this or permanent building, but maybe they could.
Just a hot water station would be great.
Just
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that you guys could utilize while you're down, there. Maybe that's the solution, you know, put this over here or wherever makes more sense, but maybe in their redesign plan, they give you the opportunity to have that be like a temporary
That would be
station or a
fantastic.
substation or something,
That's great.
That's it.
I'll mention it to Scott.
especially since you're taking care of the beach.
Right. Mention that to
When you
Scott.
make your money back.
What we would start all over.
I really do like the idea. To be honest with you, never thought about the lifeguards having their own building, but it makes sense how you're everywhere and in it all together.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Great,
it
great.
makes really sense.
Great. Should we move on to
Yeah,
personnel?
yeah.
Personnel? Okay. So our motto in the surf rescue is we educate, we prevent, and we respond. So I kind of broke them down into those three categories. The education part, rip current signs are out there. I'm sure you guys have seen them on the beaches. We put them at the porta cans, at the showers, at the lifeguard towers. We even take the little pop-ups to the local vacation rental companies and ask them to put them in their houses and their rooms. We also surf condition signs at all the entrances. The surf condition signs are also posted at the towers. They display the current surf conditions, whether it's green, yellow, or red flags. We also display the venomous marine life, which we've had a record-setting weekend. This weekend so far, Saturday and Sunday, we hit over 300 cases. So we kind of had assembly lines at some of the towers and Vinegar. It's happening all the way down to, they're white and the man-o-wars. The white ones are a little red, which are very hard to see in brown water. And then there are, yeah, they are. And so, anyway, we had but it was going all the way down to South Padre when we talked to those guys down there. They had a big influx as well. Outreach. We've been outreaching to the public schools locally. We go over the top 10 beach safety tips and we let them get out there and jump on the equipment and ask questions and talk about the local hazards as well. In-house, when we educate, we've upped our, well, we've had the first policy manual for the Surf Rescue Department. And then we also have, we've increased our medical training to follow USLA guidelines. We've taken that expense from $250 per person via the Red Cross to $12 per person in-house. I have a guy on duty that, or one of our lifeguards has been here a long time, Greg Fuller. He's a paramedic. He's a captain of the fire department over in Corpus. He's also a teacher at Del Mar, and so he qualifies to be our trainer. And so that's how we're able to do that in-house through the American Safety Health Institute. We've also now been a USLA agency for the past 4 years. The first year we were in process, and then 3 years after, we've maintained that status. And so we're excited about that. And our prevention, as I mentioned, the second one, we've increased the staff from 4 to 12 currently, and I'll probably be at 15 this year, rounded out. We've increased the number of towers from 3 to 5. We used to have those gray plastic towers. For little kids, they all look the same when you look down the beach. So that's why they're colored different colors now and trying to help in the lost kids situation. I'm sure you all know we have on a typical Saturday anywhere from 6 to 12 lost kids a day on a Saturday. Yeah, and sometimes we have them for, 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes. And then, but to give you a worse story in Galveston, sometimes they have them all day. They actually have ambassador tents on the beach with coloring books, and they have ambassadors that sit there with the kids because they have them 4 and 5 hours. So could always be worse. Lots of times, yeah. I can tell you many stories about some of the ones we found here. But anyway, okay. So response, when we respond, right? So we're responding in our uniforms. Thank you so much, by the way, for our professional appearance. People come to the city and they may not talk to anybody that works for the city, but they do talk to a lifeguard about the conditions and maybe places of interest and things like that. So we kind of consider. Thank you very much. Yeah, they are fantastic, and they really help us in being visible, right? That's why everything's yellow. The fire department's red, police are white, so we try to be as highly visible as possible. Radios, dispatch radios. When I started, there was one dispatch radio, and then they all had walkie-talkies, so you could see the time delay going on there when a supervisor has to tell whoever to go where and where. So now we have 5 dispatch radios. Thank you very much. We're very excited about those. And so we all know what's going on immediately. We have 5 towers and so.
Yeah. I told him 520. So.
We've also been able to increase our rescue equipment with the rescue boards, rescue tubes, fins, junk bags, golf carts for missing children. They make a huge, they're very easy, make a big difference in getting through crowds along the beach's edge to find the missing children fast. As I mentioned, we kind of like the yellow pickups because they do make us stand out. And we are asking for another one this year as well. TRWC, Personal Rescue Watercraft. It's our first jet ski wave runner, and it has been very effective, and we are all USLA trained on it as well. Thank you very much for that. We touched on this a little bit, but we've kind of become a consultant to Nueces County. Brent has asked me, as I mentioned earlier, to come down to Commissioner's Court, Kawana Denson, and like I said earlier, we've taken the contract from 8,000 to 80,000. Thank you very much for that. The expenditures, or should we stop on that? Go back to that. Personnel, sorry, I'm skipping out. Personnel. Okay, so the positions. So my position currently is the aquatics manager, and it's kind of over the pool and over the beach as well. And so we were thinking that it would make more sense since we have a pool manager now. Am I talking too much? To have a surf rescue manager position. And so we've done the comparison. South Padre we thought was the closest comparison. I've gotten numbers from Cameron County, which is around South Padre, of course, Galveston, and still trying to get some Corpus numbers. Let's see. Surf rescue manager position, it's just like it is right now, responsible for the training, the equipment, and so forth, and being on the beach day to day. as an active lifeguard. Nothing would change there unless y'all would like it to for duties.
Just looking at just quick, just your regional pay rates, looks like we're right in line with South Padre, Galveston, and we exceed Corpus. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, but I would say that those towns are not fair to compare. I think South Padre is more equivalent to our size town and what we're doing and the cost of living and that sort of thing. Corpus and Galveston are,
No, but like Galveston but we're like right in line with everything I'm looking at. We pay 2 cents less an hour lifeguard. We pay $2 an hour more for training, and you're making 10 cents less than South Padre person.
no, that's not, the South Padre guy actually makes 70,000.
Okay, well, this is $19 an hour. And
Right, that's for supervisor. I'm the
Yeah,
manager.
that's a supervisor is
Yeah.
below surf and
Sorry.
rescue.
sorry, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a supervisor position currently. And so I'd like to be able to have a supervisor position and pay them what
But the
Market.
South Padre surf rescue manager is also a qualified EMT paramedic, right?
he is an EMT. He's not a paramedic, but he is EMT, which of course I'm happy to take that course as well. I'm an EMR right now, which is just under EMT, and I have that in my training budget as well. I can do that at Del Mar College. They offer a course in the wintertime that I could do.
That was like, what, 60?
But it's frozen right now.
Oh, that's, yeah, it's unfilled currently.
But it is required for me to.
What says EMTB class minimum paramedics with 1 year, I guess that's preferred.
It's required within 1 year appointment. to be-
Oh, okay, got it, required, you have to be able to paramedic in 1 year.
EMT basic minimum. They're
Yeah.
required to be able to be a paramedic.
Got it.
Is what their job description is.
Well, that's what I could be showing here as well. Okay.
Okay, so Jared, you're asking to have a supervisor?
Yes, ma'am. I'm asking to have a surf rescue manager position, as well as a supervisor position at 19, as well as a junior program where I can bring in 16-year-olds. Right now, we're only allowing 18-year-olds on the beach. And I'd like to be able to bring them in at 16, maybe get them to work part-time and then nurture
Where they're
them.
partnered with they'd be partnered with
Right,
a
and it
full-time
wouldn't
guard.
just like-
Yep.
Because right now, at the pool, you have under, I mean, like, they're 16-year-olds.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
But that's only for 4 months.
Yes, ma'am. Let's see, what else did I have? Questions about any of the personnel at all?
What's your position now?
What, Joan?
What is his title now?
Aquatics manager.
Okay, thank you.
Just because I'm not, where does aquatics manager fit in that? What grade is that?
25, did you say?
Moving on, okay. Expenditures, training. Last year, we were at 2,000 and with the EMTB course and last year also, we hosted our USLA regionals, which was, went off very well. This year, they canceled because of COVID, but the nationals will be in South Padre. So Texas is really going to be on the map as far as the United States Life Saving Association goes in 2021. So we would like to go down to nationals, and we would like to host the regionals again. Our ASHE Medical, along with the ETMB course, brings us to $78.50 for training expenses. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't need
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't have any of that.
Yeah, we don't need one.
Okay. Prevention, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you.
All right, Parks and Rec.
just to speak to the beach for a second, I really feel like Jared has done a great job of building a program and trying to create a retention with new guards and building this team. And I think the previous parks director was recognizing that and trying to build his position, and so put him over the pool to try and increase the grade. And his schedule doesn't really allow for work at the pool at all. And so we've elevated Linda's position over at the pool. And I think he's done a phenomenal job regionally representing Port Aransas with Surf Rescue. So I hope you'll take that into consideration when you're looking at that new hierarchy of, you know, his position, a supervisor, and the trainee and recruiting section. I think it could be really valuable for us.
Well, man, don't get it wrong, I'm looking at just the numbers, and it looks like we're right in line, so I don't know. I didn't see what he's actually asking for.
So he's at pay grade 25 right now, which starts at $44,000 a year. And his equivalent at South Padre is making $70,000 a year.
Well,
He's maxed out at
That's,
10.
that's an upper, that's upper limit. So I think.
So they're
that-
not making 70,000?
No.
It's advertised right now.
Okay,
If he was probably there for,
61, 70 is probably.
so that's kind of
a
what we,
Step 10.
my guess is if he'd been there for 10 years with the paramedic, he might be making 70.
sure. So that's what, in that blue flow chart, we kind of just suggested a grade next to each title. That doesn't mean that's what it has to be. We suggested 36 would be equivalent to South Padre, which starts at 61. So that sounds like it's in line.
Yeah, we'll look at it in depth.
We'll look at it, because we got to make sure that we pay falls in line with everything that we provide as many on our people.
No, I,
Things
yeah.
are going to be out of whack.
Yeah.
And then there's no,
We'll look at all that.
and then, yeah, he's doing a good job. So don't
Well,
get that wrong.
and-
It's just, we gotta,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta look at it and everybody wants the handout and I gotta say, okay, well, no, so I gotta be kind of fair about that.
Well, I told the team, you know, aim high in your capital outlays, ask for everything that you could possibly want, and it'll get whittled down. They know it's, you know, this is a negotiation type thing, so. Yeah. Okay, so Parks and Rec. Darla normally helps me break down what goes into what fund, and so I wasn't sure what to label general fund, what to label RDC. So some of this could be flipped in between accounts or totally removed. But our grounds crew needs a new truck. They're limping along on truck number 299. It's a 2010. And it's one of those ones where it's probably not worth repairing anymore because it's in such bad shape. It's the last one in the fleet that's in the 200s. So after we get this one out of the cycle, our fleet will be good for a few years. So I'm hoping to sneak this one in.
Is it rusting out? Is it falling apart? What's? I mean,
All of the above, yeah.
It's 10 years. I mean, we don't keep anything.
Yeah,
My truck's in. I know.
You put dirt in it every day and lawnmowers.
I get in it and.
Yeah,
my
you get in it,
I'm dirty.
and you turn your AC on and drive to work.
If
and
it
go
worked,
home
I
and
would.
Put it in the garage.
No, I know, that's what that was happening. It's like, that one too, don't you?
Well, I'd like to turn the whole fleet in.
You know, now's probably not a bad
I
time.
would buy a Ford or Chevy if you paid me.
All right, so we move on.
so next on the list is, we haven't replaced the Parks and Rec van since it was wiped out in Hurricane Harvey, and it was really in bad shape even before the hurricane. So it didn't have a lot of insurance on it. So that's a gap there that hasn't been filled. We ran this year with rentals. They were beautiful and nice, and they're $1,200 a week, I think is the
The
rate
rentals
for
for
those.
summer, yeah.
So it's pricey, but you get the nicest, newest thing. So really, I would like one or the other. So if you're saying it's okay, just keep renting.
How many weeks?
We need to
a
budget
year are
for
we
that.
using it?
Well, this year was 8 weeks of summer camp. Typically, if we had a van that was our own, we would take the kids after school care, maybe to the birding center or to the pool, or, I mean, we'd do more stuff if we had a van that was ours. We've kind of reduced all that van transportation use because we're using rentals. So it really, the last 2 years was just for the summer program.
Does the
Right,
school
and
have transportation for after school? No.
no.
This
When we
year-
had the kids we were doing birding with, this, we just had to carry them in cars or get their parents to bring them because we didn't have, they would sometimes let us use the van at school, but most of the time not. And we had
we're
used the
low
Parks and
man
Rec van
total.
before.
So if it's used for any sporting events or anything else,
Yeah.
we'll get it, grab
So
at
let me
it.
phrase another question then, or another way. Do we use it all, like, say, between, May and September, or is it like we use it in February, do we use it in July, do we use it in October?
When we had one, we used it year round. It was used for winter Texan activities, it was used for nature activities, and it was used for summer programming. Right now, because we don't have one, we're just renting in the summer.
Well, no, I was just curious, maybe the solution was in between is to long-term or short-term lease or long-term rent a newer vehicle, so you hang on to it for X number of months, then just like, oh, we're gonna rent for this week. But anyway, that's fine.
Okay. So next on the list, you guys talked about holiday decor earlier on. I had gotten estimates last year for professional holiday decor installations. ABC Home and Commercial came out and they said, we'll do the community center for you. We'll do the civic center for you. We'll wrap the palm trees at Roberts Point Park, because it takes a lot of our grounds crew time and it limits the capability that we're doing. So if we outsource it, we could make it bigger and better. And I think that's important for the community right now. We are all feeling low, and so to have an awesome holiday display, the Tourism Bureau might be able to get involved, and we could, justify bringing people in for holiday shopping and, look at what Port A has going on in the Christmas season. So I see it having multiple
And they
benefits.
maintain it too.
They
After
do.
they put it up, they maintain.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yes, I have been using my phone. No, thank you.
Peter.
I mean, I'm hoping you're getting a lot of lights out of this.
Well,
Which
I mean, you
should,
think
right?
about all the
Yes,
trees at Roberts Point
absolutely.
Park Community Center, the roof lines, the wreaths, the
No, my
trees.
husband did it for the first 15 years, and he said,
There's so many
Um,
topics. Yes.
they do an excellent job.
So it's actually cheaper the following year
I do,
because
because your first year,
you already have one.
you're buying for life.
Right.
So that's the good part about it is, even if this is the first year cost, next year you're gonna get a discount for them to come and reinstall them, and then they put them back in the tubs or whatever they keep them
Right.
in, and then they're yours. So, yeah, I mean, that's.
Shouldn't they be yours then?
So these guys wanted us to store
them.
them.
Tub of lights, so it's easy to leave in my garage. Y'all might have
Yeah,
a few
they don't
more
have-
tubs, So I don't know where.
Actually, my Wendy uses the same thing, the days come out, and they fly white, I put the awning and the leaves, and then, you call them in January, and they take down, and here's, and send them money.
Yeah, no, I think it's working.
So the second year, the first year was 11,276, and this is last year's quote, so I bumped it a little. And then the next year is 7,285. So it goes down a little bit.
And that is, like you said, like the park, the community
Yeah, that
center,
looks
the civic
like
Will
center.
it look like Miss Woody's?
If you wanted to, I will put in a special request to have them look like that.
They can make, for a price, you can make it look like the Griswolds, or you
Yeah.
can go real classic.
Well, and I think, depending on how this community health situation improves, we may be doing, drive-through Christmas, or our events may need to adapt, and this will build in wiggle room to make it, if needed, something a little different. Halloween, we're already figuring out how we're gonna do fall events, our Halloween lineup differently, and so this will give us some room to be playful and festive, and I hope that the chamber can join in. I know when Jeff was here, he was looking at big attractions like a ice-free skating rink, and he wanted like Christmas on the island, like a big thing. So I'm hoping that the chamber is still open to that.
I know you weren't here for me, but I approached Keith about Chamber of Commerce doing something, and he said, yes, but you, the process of hiring somebody new is going to make sure that's on the front burner for the new hire, so.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to meet the new hire. He seems like a good guy. He has like a little nature background on some of his trail stuff. I'm excited to meet him. Yeah.
He's gonna be great, and I think that whatever we want to do. So we're thinking all, he understands that priority, for our community. We don't need anybody else in July. More people in November, December. January.
Awesome.
And he's got children that are in the school year, so.
Well, speaking of that, this is a little bit off of capital outlays, but I did want to mention it because you guys also talked about art, and public art has been falling in my lap and falling through the cracks. Basically, we want like a welcome to Port A sign. We want a fix for the Tarpon statue out here. We wanted a fix to the mural at the birding center. So there's like a lot of things where I would love the art center's help with public art efforts. And so if there's something that we can do there to help with getting them resources, but also them helping us, maybe there's some potential there for something. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so the next two items are for turf management. We outsourced that this past year. We paid one contractor to do all of the spraying at Roberts Point Park and the community park outside of the baseball fields. And then we did another separate contract with a different company to do rehab of our baseball fields. And so because we're getting our herbicide applicator's license, we are now capable of doing that in-house. And so there's a chemical cost for all of the park space, the whole like 30 acres. And then the cost of the sprayer to use those chemicals. And then I think I also put in the T-ball field needs a little bit of work, so that we would need to contract out.
We had the money for lease for the dog park. I hear that take anything down there, they like potential.
I was not aware of that, but I will look into it.
Who's spreading that rumor?
I know, I'm kind of offended.
What was it? I didn't understand.
I know,
Yeah.
that should be on the
People who
dog.
just go-
Yeah,
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say, that's not giving my dog a fill.
yeah, but it's just telling people.
Sounds like people don't want to spend money on their flea nets.
Yeah,
That, you know.
Okay,
there's-
don't tell me what you're talking about.
Joan
I
doesn't hear
can't
it.
understand anything that you're talking about.
Tell her about flea spray at the dog park.
Bruce has folks concerned that their dogs are getting fleas at our dog park, and I was not aware of that, so
Bruce has
I'm
been
gonna
on
look into it.
Facebook evidently.
No, it's not on Facebook. That is not a Facebook concern.
So that would be, I guess, we manage for ants and we manage for weeds
I
and
mean,
stuff,
just
so
saying,
we
just like
can,
if you're already spraying for whatever, you know, if there's some kind of flea, thing you can put down there. It's a sand flea.
Okay.
You're already there.
Sand fleas or dog fleas?
Sand fleas are, I guess, it's the same thing, right?
I don't know. I've never heard of sand. Are there different critters?
They are different.
They live in the sand and you walk through, I mean, they'll jump on you.
Like a flea flea?
Yeah.
when we had seaweed, I feel like we had that, but I haven't.
Yeah, you
But
had-
now
All right,
without
let's spray for
seaweed,
fleas.
did you have another question that I skipped over?
Yeah, move on. Concrete trash.
So the next several items were on this past year's budget, and we froze capital outlays. And I was pretty ambitious last year, so some of it we just didn't get to. But we're looking at new trash bins. The fencing around the splash pad, I am worried that it's not going to be completed in time for this fiscal year, so I put that in there. Pool blanket storage and the shade structure at the community park, that actually is from 2 years ago, and that didn't get done. So,
This is all RDC stuff, right?
and then the community park restroom, that was on last year's budget, but I added in a facelift to basically all of those buildings out there at community park. The tile is looking rough, and so we're gonna see if we can get something. I've been saying like miracle method, like where they just do some kind of enamel coating and spruce up the buildings, give them a little bit of a nicer facelift out there. And then something that Parks Board has been talking about, and some of the like water aerobics fans, they'd really like some adult workout equipment. And so the area to the right of the pool, as you're looking at the pool house, is kind of open space right now. There's a big swing set there and that's about it. And so we could, if we wanted to, I know the budget is tight, but if, I'm just putting it on here because that's what I've heard people want. So if we want to do like an American Ninja Warrior, CrossFit, adult workout station, we could have an outdoor adult playground.
Isn't that a liability nightmare?
No, there's a lot, parks all over the place are doing outdoor. It's on the
No,
left-hand
it's on the
side.
other side.
We
No.
did a switcheroo.
I know, I was
Because
like,
of utilities, we had to switch it.
Huh.
Across the street.
No. There, the splash pad is over where the slide,
where the
There-
pool-
there's
the
a
pool
L-
is.
it's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of deep, over by the deep end,
Yep.
in that corner of the pool is the splash pad.
There's enough
I had
property.
visions of.
Oh, yeah, it's that huge grass area.
There's still a lot of grass on the right side.
No, there's a little slope there, but not much.
Yeah.
No, we're grading it. Yeah, we could, the utilities were a nightmare on the other side. There was a giant electrical line right underneath it. Yeah, it was a bunch of nightmares.
So now,
Get the splash pad.
Yes,
yeah.
we're rolling.
So I have told them they have to be, they're supposed to break
Or else
ground
that's when you're-
on the 27th. They're breaking ground on the 27th and yes.
Yeah,
And I
they're
said they
like
have to be
almost
done by the end of August or we won't pay them. So they know they have to hurry. Yeah.
There'll still be some utilization for the hot month.
Well, it'll be
Or
year
you're
round,
not allowed to
but
open it 'cause of COVID.
technically,
Yeah, one or the
no, technically splash pads are closed right now because of COVID. But ours is special because it's recirculating, so we filter and chlorinate the water that's coming out of it. So ours is probably a safer environment than like the flow through systems that just run tap water.
Okay, so then where the swing set is and where the old playground equipment was, you're talking about.
Could be-
reutilize that space.
Repurpose.
Yeah, repurposed. And I like the idea of it being geared towards older kids and young adults and even up to seniors because right
Did
now
you
we
just
have,
point at me?
Yes.
no, I didn't. I was just
Well,
talking
I
with my
thought I'd go
hands.
like that.
No. Oh my God. Sensitive. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember the part of the hemisphere park we went and it was.
You know, a lot of stuff, and this is my brain thinking, to me, like, I try to do my memory flow. But it seems like all the monkey bars and the rope swings, I thought the only way to too much liability of people falling and breaking their neck or breaking their arm or breaking their leg. How do we get around that?
So there's some state laws that protect us from, like the skate park does this. There's laws that say, you know, if you use this equipment, you're accepting liability for use in a public park with your own equipment or whatever. And so I can look into more details and get you
Some of the
stuff,
old
but
school.
I think
like
if we
the
neglect
spinning
it,
thing,
The merry-go-round.
remember that? They could, like, people would put their motorcycle wheel on it, they could go like 100 miles an hour. Some things like that, yes, it disappeared just due to.
they make like new versions of it now though.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But right, your old classic monkey bars are kind of changed style, do things that are less swinging, danger.
Well, it's just like, I mean, it's probably an American Ninja, they have like this, you know, big thing to hold,
Yeah.
kind of knock you off a
Yeah.
balance bar or whatever, and I just.
I'll look into, well, no, it's not like Gladiator. The American Ninja Warrior that I meant is kind of like rings and jumping from one like a platform that's tilted to another. And so it's, I'll,
David, we can put you up a football.
so I know there's a demand for it in the community. They're interested in it. I know you guys discussed rec center earlier. I feel like it has been a long time since the rec center was designed. And so I would love a year to revisit the plans and make sure it's really what the community wants right now. I know the mayor is concerned about, you know, that not being a priority with everybody's health concerns right now. Rec centers statewide or nationwide right now, most of them are closed. And so I would love to take some more time and really be thoughtful about how we plan out the space. I'm also on board. If you guys want it, I will make it happen. And I'm there to support whatever you guys want,
I
but
just think that if we don't do it now, it's not.
It's
not
not,
gonna-
this has been 8 years. talk to people that have been living on the summer. And I get it, I wish there was a way that we don't have to necessarily like start, like we have a year before we build. I mean, nothing's gonna happen quick, you know, 2 or 3, but, I mean,
And we don't know if people are gonna even approve the tax rate, that really
Yeah.
is what's gonna make it or break it. You may say, yeah, they approve it, and we say, you know, it's not gonna happen. But if they say
we have a whole new.
no
board and
tax
they
rate,
wait
then
another 10
this is a
years.
dead issue. And the thing is, it's kind of a rec center second and I won't say convention center, because I think a sports thing first to bring
Yeah.
people in. And I realize that doesn't necessarily jive or mesh exactly with what we had original intention. But what we really wanted to do originally, it was just not feasible because the city would have to pay for it out of general funds and money not there.
Well, I've talked to David a little bit. You know, I like finding money. I like finding grants. And so if that's really the direction we wanted to go, trying to start a capital campaign or find exterior funding or external funding, you know, it's an option. I'm not saying I can handle that with hurricane recovery at the moment. It's a little overwhelming and intimidating, but I'm here to figure out whatever you guys want. So I
And
will.
I just, I don't want to say it's too short-sighted, this thing, but this is really a longer picture. This is a 2-year project down the road. And, you know, if we don't start looking at it now, something else can come up, you know, another asteroid, dinosaurs invade the earth, or hurricane, or, you know, tornado, something else is gonna happen. There'll always be another reason to kick the can down the road. And it seems like, you know, what, put up or shut up. And I'm fine either way we go.
We're gonna discuss it again Thursday.
Awesome.
And I'm fine
Yeah.
either way we go.
Okay.
You just have a couple more days.
Like I said, I can get behind it 100%, but I can also understand, you know, the community not being ready for it at the moment. So it's up to you guys and the vote, I guess, to let me know what I should do. All right. Any questions about anything else? Awesome.
As always.
Thank you.
6. Okay.
RDP tax is very, it's stock tax. And so taxes jump significantly. So RDP is in high.
Okay.
Part of the efficiency size in there, and so if you want to build a Ninja Warrior thing, it's gonna be part of that thing tomorrow. But it's gotta be in the part master plan and all the.
That's what I said, I just didn't know if that is, you know, just how that was gonna play out.
Right, right. It's,
There you go.
Hello, thank you, sir. Well, good evening.
Welcome. I
Thank
see you
you.
all the time, but not in person.
That's probably a win. Well, good for you.
So if you didn't know, Keith has been sitting in as chamber interim, so, you know, of course, we usually get an update from the chamber, so.
Yeah, and I know
Keith said
you've
he'd
been,
come over and give you guys a quick
Yeah.
briefing.
exactly, I know you've had a long day and I will be brief. I'm looking at some notes here for you. So you may have seen the announcement last week that after scouring the country, literally, we did assign Brett Stallworth, who is going to start with us on August 19th. He has been for the last 16 years in a river and lake destination in the southwest corner of Illinois-Missouri border. And he's used to working with multiple counties and multiple cities as it's more of a regional play. So he's excited about the prospect of dealing with one county and one city. So, so you can appreciate that with all the minutia and detail that you're going through. To get the thought of doing it on multiple levels is mind-boggling. So he's very excited. He and his wife Sherry and their son will be moving here. We are the chamber is going to be helping them with housing for the first 3 months while they're going to lease while they look around. His son will be going to Brundrett Middle School and very excited to be part of the community. One of the things that really attracted us to Brett is his experience just what kind of his fundamental understanding of running those operations and the organization. As you know, for many, many years, the chamber and the Convention and Visitors Bureau were sort of commingled. They were commingled. And Jeff Hentz, one of the things that he started in his tenure was that separation. And there's a lot of work just from having been kind of airlifted in starting in April, just to kind of observe what's going on. There's a lot of room for structure and organization to be applied in the division of those two. It's not really where it needs to be. And I think one of the things that attracted us to Brett, one of the many things, was his ability to come in and help establish that. And he just knows how to do, some might say, well, he's never been on the coast, blah, blah, blah. One of the things that's been evident, and you probably surmised from your experience in observing the CVB is in the chamber, is that their fundamental operations are the same, whether you're promoting a river destination or a beach destination. And so he's got that experience, and we think that's going to be a big asset for the community. And so of course, he's excited. He's going to be walking into a brand new building, probably just a couple of weeks after he arrives. So that's perfect timing. We're working with Susan Castor. I cannot say enough wonderful things about that woman for the work, the hours she's devoting to help us with furnishings, help us with signage, help us with any number of things as we complete that building. So we're grateful to the city and to FEMA and to Broadus and to everybody that played a hand in getting that back. It looks beautiful, and it'll be a showplace for us. A few of the bigger ticket items that I'm going to recommend to Brett. Of course, he'll be making his own decisions clearly, but the CVB's website is really outdated, and I believe there's a better operation that can be had that I think will make an impact down the road with the CRM. For many of you guys that are in that kind of business, you're familiar with that. The CRM is lacking, just everything from start to finish. So there's a real opportunity to overhaul that. And that's one of my, in addition to the organization and implementing those kind of things, I think the website is the big ticket item that I would recommend as soon as possible. But the reality there is that with COVID, our hot tax income is obviously curtailed, we could say. We did go into reserves to fund operations last month for the first time in I don't know how long that it's been since that's occurred, but it's certainly I think in recent, probably since Harvey. And depending upon what kind of check we're looking at this month, we may be doing the same. So big ticket items like websites, et cetera, that's all going to be tempered with the realities of the financial situation. As we sit here today, we have suspended all advertising and suspended the chamber's, the CVB's advertising back last month. So the only advertising that is in place that you might see telling or suggesting to people to come to Port Aransas would be billboards. There's a handful of billboards scattered across the state, and that's not something that you can easily turn around. And the message there is just, more of a branding for Port Aransas. It's not, I'm here today kind of a, yeah. It's not.
Sweet couples driving around.
Pardon me?
The couple that's driving around in the van.
That's been suspended. The mobile visitor center has been suspended as well. So anything like that was put on hold last month, for all the obvious reasons. And there's not been any discussion on, as we all know, that could resume in a month. It could be many months. We just don't know. But so I did want everybody to know that there is no advertising going out right now and hasn't been for several weeks now. Events for things like the Beachtoberfest in September and October, which is of course traditionally one of our biggest initiatives, is to try to build the shoulder season to help offset the declines that we would naturally see. That's all on hold. We've still got the ability to have some radically scaled back events, food championships, things of that nature. But those plans are, obviously there's nothing on a large scale coming. One of the things that I wanted to mention that we're seeing that could be an issue, that could help us positively this fall, is that if we do see distance learning in various larger districts across the state, and we see people continuing to work from home, you could see Texans from other areas not come rent for a day or a week, but could potentially try to come rent a place and stay here. I'm not saying that we're advertising that, but clearly we weren't advertising this last weekend in town, very crowded. So there could be people that could help offset from a hot tax standpoint. People coming now, obviously if they go to 30 days or longer, that doesn't benefit us on hot tax, but we could see people relocating here. We do anticipate, speaking of longer term rentals, winter Texans, we certainly don't anticipate those in the kind of numbers that we're accustomed to, envisioning that folks will stay closer to their physicians, to their families, et cetera. So that's going to be a big shift in our winter season for all of our commercial enterprises, is they won't have the winter Texan crowd in any great number. But again, who knows, that could be offset somewhat with some winter Texans, if you will, from some other cities, but that just remains to be seen. And that's really all I have for you. Unless you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain.
Just one I was gonna throw at you, and maybe it kind of ties into everything you said, but I approached you, I don't know, a couple weeks ago about an email about maybe we can talk about Christmas decorations, and just seems like the city needs kind of some uplifting spirit. So we thought Christmas would be a good time to, hopefully be down the road a little bit. But maybe tying in to get some chamber money into decorations, if we could maybe have like some type of Christmas fair or some type of thing that we can get, a hot tax money used for, or some type of, I don't know, whatever. Or I'm open to suggestions, but if nothing else, at least hitting up businesses and seeing if we can get some, donations for Christmas ornaments. And you did say you were going to talk to the new hire about that, but just kind of, it seems like if we're gonna do it now.
No, I mean, I think there's an opportunity there. I can't say, I mean, we might, it's compelling from a standpoint of seeking donations, because I do think people realize, our Christmas decorations that we've had are they showed their age 10 years ago. So there's an opportunity to upgrade that, and maybe if we could do it collectively as a community. I don't know from a chamber perspective, with hot tax being down and everything, I don't know that it would make sense depending upon what that level of expense would be. But if we could partner, I think there's an opportunity there.
Well, I was just gonna say maybe Chris Mark, or I don't know. I'm open to suggestions, kind of fishing for ideas.
Well, we've got a creative group over there that Brett is going to be working with. So we can certainly get them started on some ideas. And of course, event-wise, we'll all be, dictated by what.
Who knows what the future holds?
Right.
Just kind of.
No, I think everybody in town would recognize that we do need to upgrade those decorations. So I think the community would support that for sure. And I'm happy to take that back as I committed. Any other?
Yes, thank you.
What an amazing volunteer you are.
Thank you.
And who better to step into their role, who knows so much about
Former mayor.
Well, thank you. I haven't been in this room much lately, so it's, you guys,
Look at you.
you guys are taking very good care of it.
Hey, we're gonna post a new position in case you wanna keep your, options open after you get through with that.
This just got refinished about, what, 2 months ago?
Oh, yeah.
I said the carpet is brand new. Last
Yeah.
time he was here, it was still,
Yeah, this is
What is-
only 2 months old. There was insulation hanging down over the window
It looks,
back in
it's in,
March.
I'm
it-
gonna get the new carpet.
it looks good and it's in great hands. So thank you all very much for your service as always. 10, I went through 10 of these. as I recall, so-
Times.
so, And I trust, and the fact that it's 6 hours on and you still have more to go, they haven't changed, so.
Wendy and Beth are out in, 10
Yeah,
months. They're,
my
come
turn is
on.
out, my turn down.
So this is your last budget workshop.
6 years later.
Well, treasure
We're
it.
still trying to get Christmas decorations.
Duty
Yeah.
calls. Hey,
Splash pad, affordable housing, we're getting, I'm excited about that.
That's huge.
We just had a hurricane and COVID kind of throw the wrench in some things around.
No, but the housing, that housing development is just huge. I mean, councils have talked about that for 25 years. So the fact that, you know, that it's a
I
reality.
was just thinking about that, you know, it's gonna be, people are gonna be calling us in 5 years, like, how'd you do that? You know, what, we want to do that first, how can we do that?
First have a hurricane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, when we have the groundbreaking for the ferry stacking, you have to be there. We might even name it the Keith McMullen Ferry
Yeah, yeah.
Stacking. like-
It'll be
yeah,
some,
please name it after him.
it'll be some text.
Because that was a big, that was.
No,
one of
well,
your
we,
big
that
projects.
was, I told David not long ago that I definitely want to be part of that, because that was a big, collectively, we made that happen. So, and let's hope it's a big old facility, so it's
Let's
gonna
hope they fill it.
yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot of cars that would have been on Alistair or cut off, or, you know, or.
When the first day they do it, it's gonna be something, right? To not have a ferry line wrap around town.
I think it's gonna
Well,
be
hello, I'm
crazy.
gonna be able to get out of my driveway at deep sea. Like,
Well, and the fact too, that they're ponying up the money to put in the electric, all of that, you know, that's gonna be high tech, and you'll be looking at lights to direct you on where to go and in which lane, because that was all, they brought that to the table after, you know, they said, you know, you provide the dirt, we'll do everything else, and that wasn't a false promise. So, anyway, thank you all. Have a good
Thanks,
evening.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, ma'am.
He wasn't here earlier when I talked about it, so I figured I'd give it to you.
I would like to follow up on what Earthhook's gonna become a hotel motel. Hopefully you have it earmarked since the nature preserve is no longer that, right?
Yeah, yeah. They deserve that.
'Cause that's, big.
But it still pays for the operation.
That was about
But the
200
debt-
grand.
Yeah, but that's usually that.
Yeah, that's a $200,000 re-up.
We'll find you some money.
Administration.
Thank
You
you.
want to
Thank
do
you.
those real quick?
Yeah, I think you can sell it real quick.
Yeah.
What did you do?
No, we don't have anything, do we?
Well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no raises, yeah.
Well, and we're not talking about COLA, but,
I just-
so first, I'm gonna take this off because it's really hard to talk in. The facility fund is supported by the, Hotel Motel Six, a half a cent, and we have about $1 million in the fund. We're proposing to maybe do a facelift on these restrooms here in the Civic Center that are rental. We did paint over, due to Hurricane Harvey damage, our birds. But we'd like to bring it up to a little bit, something that doesn't look so 70s, you know, some nicer vanities, nicer mirrors, ADA compliant, because right now there's not a handicap stall in either one. And But I don't think it's ADA compliant, it's not true. In ours, in the women, there is one with some bars, but it's not a true handicap stall. And
Accessible.
accessible, ADA accessible is the correct term. So yeah, you would lose a stall in each bathroom, I'm sure, but I think it would be well worth it to get a facelift. And that's probably gonna be a pretty penny, but that's gonna come from the facility fund. And then we also discussed, at least going out for a service maintenance contract for all of our AC units and changing the filters on everything's on the roof for all these buildings. And our maintenance, our custodial staff, because we don't really have a maintenance staff, really can't handle that. We need somebody that's really doing a checkup on our AC units better. And so we want to put that in the budget. And really, that's probably the only thing. And that is going to be some general fund, but it'll be split.
Well, I think they're both good ideas, so I'm, whatever. But I was just curious, so the maintenance person, so for instance, if we need a broken toilet fixed or whatever, I mean, what maybe a traditional maintenance man might be able to do, you just call to a local plumber and.
We talked about that, right? Because if we do bring a maintenance person in, they would have to be an electrician and a plumber, or else you're going to have to just call somebody all the time anyway.
I
And
mean, it might.
Yeah, I mean, so for us, the value really is more getting Sylvia an extra position. You know, someone who's, because truly, you don't want, and we've had this before, you don't want a non-electrician monkeying around thinking that they can fix electric. And then all of a sudden he's shocked or, you know, it's,
chucking us.
for those, it's easier for us to call an electrician.
Right, but I mean, for like, say, you have to fix or the light burned out in these units here.
They know how to do that.
Mhm.
Sylvia's crew can do light bulbs, they can do,
But they can't change filters.
Not the.
no,
this
I mean, the
is-
stuff on the roof, I think that's kind of, we want to put a contract out to a AC firm to come and do the known maintenance that they would normally do.
When I say filters too, I'm also talking about purging those lines.
Yeah,
I think they purge the lines with those service contracts and flush them out because we've had them back up in different
yeah, that's what
places.
flooded the library.
Mhm. So-
Just due to you know, there's a line that comes off of the, you know, there's a big water tray up under there and it has an overflow on it. And then it usually goes up on your roof and it goes over the side and drips down. And that'll fill up with mold and bacteria. And once it plugs, you'll flood inside. And it's a simple maintenance thing.
It is.
But if you don't have a maintenance person up there every year doing it, yeah.
Just go up there and make filters out and that. Sorry, I'm the guy who does that line, so I
Right.
know exactly what's
Can I
involved.
pay you to do it in mine?
You know, if I didn't have to do all the others, I probably would.
But really, that's about it in the facility fund. I
Yeah.
think that, should turn on.
I mean, I think you could probably get a really nice facelift in those bathrooms. As long as you didn't have to do like the bathrooms at
No.
Oh,
Those are-
no, we wanna
yeah,
maybe-
Not
I-
prison grade.
Yeah,
I mean, those are.
No.
That's just interior work.
Yeah. I bet
We
you
would
could
like
do them
tile and
for-
mirrors and a vanity and the
Yeah.
ADA seats.
I
Yeah.
bet for 15K maybe. do both.
I think
I
we
mean,
need to, you come over here and.
15K
I think
a
we'd need
piece.
more than that.
15K a piece.
Yeah, I think you'd need more than that.
20?
But you don't need.
We
to
want a
spend-
women's touch.
But you don't want to spend 100 at like, you know, crazy numbers like of those. like
The
you said, pretty-
problem is
Yeah, but-
that to make them ADA, you probably lose one of the toilets.
Oh, you definitely lose a
In
toilet in both.
Men's and women's.
Yeah, you would lose one.
You're definitely gonna lose the urinal and then, and
Yeah, I think
you're gonna
Yeah.
lose
I do
the
too.
thing 'cause just the turn radius and have the door open back. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, they might have to readjust them and move them
Because
to
you're
the
gonna
other
have
wall.
to hire, an architect, you know, fully design it.
I mean, it's not gonna,
Probably
it's not gonna
20K.
cost 15. But the facility fund does have a substantial fund balance of about $1 million. And the only thing really right now that it can go for is community center and civic center, so.
So we'll do the
it's-
bathrooms and the entrance.
you know, I was thinking the tile in front of the bathrooms, that white tile and the tile in in the bathrooms, the Satio tile, there's someone who likes it a whole lot. And and this isn't the someone, but but our doors are all getting replaced due to the Harvey damage in the Civic Center, and that was a big cost. That's in the Harvey project. And that's why this hasn't been finished yet. Major project for the Civic Center.
I really think you need to pull the trigger on the bathrooms.
Yeah, we'll probably be dialing in the budget.
40
It's,
grand, 50 tops.
but that's really it on facility fund. And the only thing we want to talk about on administration, because this has to come 100% completely from you guys, is the pay scale was adjusted last year by 12%. You know, we are on what we call a step and grade. So as people have been here a little longer, they move up their pay scale. That helps. The only thing really that helps is avoid compression too from a new person being hired and making the same thing for someone that's been here for 18 months to 2 years. Our steps right now are 3% across, 3% between each step. So the options are we're not asking for any type of cost of living adjustment to adjust that pay scale. But do we want to try to do a step increase? Can't tell you if it's going to work in the budget until we do it, or to completely do a pay freeze with no adjustments or to COLA or pay steps. And if you do a step increase, I have in there for the department directors that aren't on the pay scale, proposing a 3% increase for them, or you can so choose any other percentage if you would want to go down or freeze directors and move everybody else up. Right now, Humana is who our insurance is with. They came in with a 30% increase, and we're going out to bid. Yeah, it's been good. I can't lie. Utilization.
I guarantee it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, it's utilization.
Insurance goes up because of people.
Yeah, it's people in the plan and our issues. And so right now it's 30%. We could, you know, you can always negotiate with them and you're gonna get them down some, but instead of just a flat out negotiation, we did issue an RFP and it is due July 24th. Doesn't mean we're gonna be leaving Humana. Humana may still be the best. I think they will come down from 30% in the bid. But they may come down to 15, they may come down to 20. We don't know until July 24th where that's going to land. So anyway, that's the only thing on administrative, and we would need I have to have direction from y'all on how to dial in the budget. What you said is our.
Well, last year we did a big one. We did
a big one last year. We did 12% to the pay grade, and we did no steps. So. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. We could say no step increase because we have people that have been here now for 2 years that are still at step 1. If we did no step increase, they could be here 3 years and still at step 1. We hire somebody new, they're at the same. No, you don't have to. Not if you tell us, to freeze and not do. Everybody got a 12% across the board, but they stayed on their same step. So our people at step 1 now, right, we didn't do any steps. So we have people that are in their second year at step 1. If we don't do a step increase, they'll be in their third year of step 1 when we hire a newbie. And the complaints, a lot of those complaints come from like I'll just use it, lifeguard. A lifeguard that's making the same thing, that's their third summer on the beach, and the newbie is making the same amount. You know, yeah. And I mean, Browns people, it's across the board. But no, with step, you can tell us you're on a pay freeze, there's no step increase. That's something from y'all.
What do you say?
Get everybody to have a hybrid freeze and pay everybody.
Or we're off the freeze.
Well, I would like to comment. I can't understand what Bruce is saying, but I think I would like to see a step increase and 3% for supervisors in the budget and see how it does.
Joe, you want a 3% COLA increase or you
No,
want a
this-
step increase?
Step increase, no, a step increase, but for the supervisors, they don't get a step increase, right? So we can give them, wasn't that the
No.
suggestion?
No, department directors, there's some department directors that are not on the pay scale. David, myself, Chief, Francisca, Rick. That's it.
So I would like 3%
It's
for them.
Colleen. Colleen's on the pay scale. Mitch is on the pay scale. Dave's on the, Doug's on the pay scale. Everybody else is on the pay scale. Those 5 are not on the pay scale.
I think that, I think you just put it in that way, Darla, and we just look at it.
With the step
Obviously,
increase and then
yeah,
see if
I
it
mean,
works.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just see what it looks like. I mean, if it's yeah, if we can make it work, let's make it work. I mean, if we can, I mean, just like every year, we just may have to
Right.
decide then, no ambulance.
And the health insurance, right. No, the health insurance may drive that
Oh,
some.
sure. I mean, it's just like
Because-
we always put it all in and then we'll go dial back based on what our, effective.
No new revenue.
Revenue rate is.
Yeah.
And we won't know that till July 25th.
I mean,
And
it may all work. We may get a wish
Right.
list for everything.
Yeah, but I mean, you can justify it as, we got a 12% last year
Sure.
and you got a COVID pandemic going on.
Yeah.
Might be
The
shut down next
businesses
week.
are all hurt. I mean, if any time there's to do it, now's the time to do it.
And I mean, I just read Barbara Canala say she's gonna tell all the tourists to stay home. If
Yeah,
she
I mean,
does that,
you really
that's
gotta
gonna-
look,
that-
you gotta look at the private sector too. I mean, what's going on in the private sector? I mean,
right, I mean, that could change our summer in a heartbeat.
what are you
No,
guys
it could,
seeing?
it could. I mean, I don't
So
know.
can
And if it does, we would,
I have-
if it does, we have a good reserve. We're going to make adjustments for that.
Chuck, what are you guys seeing in the private sector? Private sector, raises or things kind of frozen up? Or- Yeah. Right. Yeah.
When my situation, I don't know if you were there for that, but, for July, I basically gave everybody who worked 6 days a week an extra week.
Wow.
Because it's just, I was.
It's so crazy.
I was so
busy.
short-handed that basically you work, 26 of the 31 days. I think $500. But that's only for the month of July.
Right.
And that's only gonna affect maybe an employee's total, but. Flip side is, I'm short-handed or I'm not open.
Right.
That's kind of, we're in different situations, we're desperate for help. But as far as like, am I paying people more? Not. But I am paying people who are there, incentivizing them to stay there.
Hard, I appreciate.
Yeah, let's see what's
working.
working.
Shoot high. I'm shooting high, because I know staff has been understaffed since Harvey, and we're going through pandemic number 2. And we're telling all of our core group, just hold on, it's gonna get better,
Yeah, but I mean, you're right, it's gonna get better, but we didn't foresee the pandemic. We always think, oh yeah, we're ready for hurricane, but we found out really we weren't as ready as we thought we were.
Oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it's aliens coming at us.
There's a light.
What's the light? Retirement?
No, well, it might be. It's a train, but that retirement is eligible.
Is there, as far as the insurance, is there a different type of, I know, Blue Cross, United, these players, but is there a different type of plan?
I mean, there always is. I mean, we're on a PPO type plan with right now a $2,000 deductible and everything. I mean, it's, you do. And I mean, hopefully we don't have to downgrade our plan much. If we do have to downgrade it at all, I mean, I can tell you $2,000 deductible for people when they've got multiple people in the family is they don't do it. They don't have the health care that they need to get. They don't.
It
It is.
And ours is 5,000.
It
Our
is.
rates are still
But people still don't take care of themselves because of that. And when you go to a $4,000 and a $5,000 deductible, they just don't do it.
Yep.
Which causes problems more. And then it makes it go up more.
Well,
Kind of a
Darla,
vicious
you want to
circle.
go ahead and let's go into the meetings?
Oh,
upcoming
yeah, yeah.
meetings,
I'm sorry, I forgot that budget.
Budget schedule?
So I mentioned that we have less requirements now for public hearings. There's no way, as I stated, that we are going to prepare a budget going over 3.5% of the no new revenue rate. We just will not do it because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, where we come in at that rate, it just all depends on how everything, what our suggestion's going to be. You're only required to have one public hearing. I am recommending us have the first meeting on the budget on Thursday, August 6th. I know y'all kind of like to stay with Thursdays. It would be at 5 o'clock. And I'd really like to have it by then because starting August 10th, I'm out till October. Probably the second week of October. I mean, I'll be Zooming, but I won't be physically here. Yes. So yes, it would be here at 5 PM. And then this does not include budget, but RDC budget meetings. We're gonna have to get those set. And wasn't Beverly who was on the RDC budget?
Yes.
I mean, on the RDC committee, and we didn't
I'm
think
on
to
the
put
RDC
anybody.
too.
No, but we didn't think to put it on July meeting to appoint anybody. Oh, it is on there? Oh, yay. You go, girl.
Go, Fran.
You go, girl, with your bad self. So yes, we'll get somebody new appointed on that and we'll get out a schedule to the RDC members once we appoint.
So there's an RG meeting Thursday?
No, I don't know. No, no. There's a city council meeting to
No, I-
appoint an RDC member on Thursday.
Got it.
And so would that meeting be before August 10th?
We don't know. It'll probably end up also being around August 6th. Because I'd like to be here and it needs to be before the 10th.
Right.
So,
We did that last year with the RDC.
We did. We did like at 4.
I mean, it's easy and I've done August. I'd like to be wrong.
We'd like for you to be on. So the August 10th meeting, okay, so between the August 6th and the 17th is when we would have to have an ad in the paper for the public hearing for the tax rate. So if on August 6th, y'all like the budget and said, you know what, we like that tax rate, just advertise it, you know, we're happy. But we could have a meeting anywhere between the 10th and the 17th. So to get that, get that in the paper in time for the September 3rd public hearing.
So
So,
the 6th is gonna be a yay or nay for whatever. Oh,
well, the 6th is your first meeting. The budget's a working document. Y'all can call any meeting between the 6th and the 17th to tell us what to do.
well, really, we have to do it before the 10th.
You don't have to do it before the 10th. I just put the 10th in as a placeholder. Thank you for bringing that up.
When are you going?
I'll be gone the 10th. I'll be Zooming. Yeah, the council's the 20th and you have to have your ad before that.
Right,
But-
but I'm just saying, just, it's easier to when you're here, I can say. hey,
Yeah, I
Darla,
won't physically be here, but I'm on the phone and I'm by email
yeah,
and I'll
you
be
can
on the
figure out
computer.
you can figure out the date. You know, you know.
Mm-mm.
Maybe we should meet on a Tuesday if you liked it. then-
I'd have to get the budget done earlier for y'all to meet on Tuesday the 4th. And I can't guarantee that's gonna happen
Well, I just,
by
I mean,
when we're
that's
getting
a-
the.
Yeah, by the time she gets the tax roll and
Mhm,
it takes us that many days to get it together. Okay.
mhm.
I will be gone from the 8th to the 12th.
And it doesn't matter if I'm physically here or I'm like Joan, I'm here.
that's fine, well, I just,
I can Zoom.
Do we have to have a public hearing on the tax rate, no matter
You do
what?
not have to have a public hearing if you stay at the no new revenue rate, which is basically the same thing as what your effective was before. You do have to have a public hearing on the budget. That's still required by law. But it's easy. kidding. You couldn't even go up one penny. Yeah, 1 penny was more than 8%. We're squeak, our tax rate is so small that that's what it comes down to. It's under 1 penny to go up an 8% increase. And we're lower than the county.
Well, imagine you in Fort Worth, seeing a house on like Ocean Drive, their tax rate like 8%.
No, it's 60 something,
50 cents per
68, I
house.
think.
Then you have $1 million house in Ocean Drive. It is nothing new.
Yeah. And I love the example, if you can find that sheet again, of your, different county.
Oh, yeah, I've got that. Oh, yeah, I'll have that for y'all in your packet.
But typically,
August
when
6th.
we have our first workshop and you give us everything, you typically do come back at least one time and say, we want to see it again.
Yes, and the
they
problem,
undercut, so-
yes, and the problem is your meeting in August is too late to get an add-in for the
Right.
tax, for the
So we're
public
gonna have
hearing.
to have two meetings, whether it's the
Yeah.
6th and
I just threw the 10th out because it was Monday right after, and you could give direction.
What day do you leave?
My first treatment's the 10th, but it could be, if y'all want to keep them on Thursday, you could have it Thursday, the 13th, gives us enough time to get it in for the 17th. It just has to be by the 17th.
And you're gonna be gone the 10th, Zoom the 10th. Not
I can
After.
do any time after the 10th. On the
After
10th,
the-
I'm gone.
Because I'm kind of with you. I think that we always have a meeting, we go make our black markers, we scratch through all the stuff that we don't want. Then we give it back to you, and you come back and say, okay, this is a finished document, and then barring something drastic.
Yeah, and if you want to do it on if you want to keep it on Thursdays, what's that Thursday, the 12th or the
Well,
13th?
13th, but I think you could come back on the 10th, on some time, so you could go from the 10th back to June. Yeah, whatever.
It didn't take that
I
long.
just think that,
The
and I hate to
13th
have
is
like
fine.
extra meetings for no good reason, but it just seems like we've always kind of, you give us like 3 options, like, here's with the COLA, here's with the 3%.
Let's do it on the 13th, because Shane needs to get it back.
Yeah, she's not here on the 10th.
I mean, let's just set it for the 13th.
Yeah, so we'll do
6 and the
6 and then the 13th.
At 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just keeps it easy on Thursdays. You're used to it.
So it's August, what date?
13th, Joan.
Okay.
And that's gonna be 3 Thursdays in a row, but
Tic-tac-toe.
as long as we don't have any hurricanes.
Hey, we were what, meeting once a week after Harvey, or once every 3 days or
Oh,
something?
God.
Once every 3 days or for a
I
while,
just
so
showed up
like.
with my, plastic boots and puller.
I came in like,
And
all sweaty with my big old straw hat, and like, dirty, and there's Dan Parker. Like, no, don't. Wow.
That's firefighters. Nasty and. Like, here he goes.
All right, council comments.
Thank you for all the hard work.
Yes, thank you.
We're not giving out a penny this on.
I really miss being up there because y'all are all talking to each other and having fun, and I'm not really getting to interact very much. So I miss you very much, and unfortunately, I can't hear very well, so I can't even think about commenting on what you're saying most of the time. So it's hard.
A good thing about, though, with the Christmas decorations, if we're gonna do with the Parks and Rec, the 1,200 for them to come do the lights or whatever,
12,000.
12,000, could we get a quote to extend it if we can't give any kind of budget for our own decorations?
Well, we have 20 in there for us already.
Just for this year, so
We could look to see if they do any kind of pole decorations.
I'm sure they do, I'm sure they could do it.
We'll find out what they do.
Make the town pop.
But we need to get,
Yeah, so-
we need to get on it because if you wait till October, you don't have enough time.
We'll find out if they can do the street poles.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so we canceling the meeting for tomorrow. Yes, yes.
Dave, that reminds me of the banner, the senior banner, of Amy Beck. And, I don't know who's on the other side. I just happened to be driving, it was on the road. It's in my
man.
garage.
Okay, it fell.
Yeah, thank goodness, yeah, and I just grabbed it. I'll bring
When
it
should
up.
we take those down? You think? Soon?
Yeah,
They're starting to
yeah, let's
little
take them down.
tattered.
Okay,
And
I'll
then
get the
we'll
guys
just
to take them
send them
down.
over to, the school.
All right,
We're letting the school
Deal with.
yeah.
fight over who's.
No,
No, no, I was like,
Nobody-
when do you want yours? It's like,
Oh, that'll make whoever's happy on the other side.
Hey, that'd be really cool. You'd be like, have done your, like, dorm wall, big picture. of you,
No, but
you
I
know,
love,
size.
I love the banner.
Oh, my God. Oh, my-
Yeah.
You have to have like a, just a hand microphone.
Yeah.
or something, and just, you know, wires it.
Yeah, Vets did the yard signs.
Darla,
And
you were
these-
in my prayers.
Thank
You're
you.
so good. You are gonna
Good.
do good.
Yes, I
God has you both just in his hands.
I'm gonna
and
be
you know
good.
He's gonna,
I'll be zooming.
yeah. I just need that.
Oh, yeah,
This
you
is
did
the
good.
most stressful time work-wise with me, but then it's much.
I know, it's not a good time to do it, but they didn't want me to wait. so I'm going to do it.
okay.
Yes.
All right, everyone.